Hello and salutations. It's me, Salty. Tonight I am joined by Scuba Pete himself to talk about some toy memories. You know him, you love him, you've seen him in all the chats all around the internet. How you doing tonight, Scuba?
I am doing very well. Thank you for having me on. And I see everybody and their mothers in the chat already. That's pretty awesome. Lots of usual suspects.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got Keith Knight, we got Darth Knight, Mark, we got Gojatron, of course, Gojatron, with that immediately recognizable Godzilla kaiju little
right?
little picture. So we are on episode 4 now of The Way I Played, or I should really call it The Way We Played, because having I implies that it's just me, and it's never just me, but I don't know. I guess TWIP was easier than TWIP, so to abbreviate. But
still, just a cool idea for a show series.
That's right. So you before we get into anything else, you recently went to a what would you call it, a warehouse, a purveyor, a supplier, a connoisseur of vintage toys.
It was the Mega Toy Mall, here in Louisville, Kentucky.
So regale us with a tale. Lay it on me.
All right, so I started this. I think it's about 3,000 square feet, and it is just chock full of locked glass cases, aisle upon aisle upon aisle. And so you can rent one, and we do, for $40 a month. And it's staffed very well. They're on radios. So when you see something you like in a glass case, like, hey, I want to get into number 38, they radio somebody if they're not already there to help you, and they unlock the case, and they let you just take it all in, whatever it was that caught your eye. They don't harass you to hurry up, or I'm sorry, you can't touch that, I have to hold it. No, you can literally just go in the case, pull it out, and they stand there, and they give you all the time in the world. But the prices are normally fantastic. There's lots of deals to be had, and it's always changing. Every time I go back, sometimes as soon as 2 weeks, it's amazing how it's rolled over, and there's just new treasures to behold. But this last trip, it was the Hall of Justice Kenner Superpowers. Which was cool.
Yeah, that's you had posted a picture of quite an intimidating boxed G.I. Joe display behind you. There were many vehicles, and I had to make a meme out of it, of course, because I saw the Cobra Bug, and I just get all excited.
That's Ville Ends Toys, and it is a brand new shop that just opened up Friday.
About
5 minutes.
Mistake.
No, that's all right. That place, I wanted to cry when I walked in. I mean, it's just super clean, just tons of like mint in the box or carded mint on card figures. They, like I said, they were just opening up, so it was kind of like they were just putting their best foot forward. And turns out they've got enough loose items to basically fill that storefront like twice over. So as I'm like, ooh. I mean, they had a boxed Eternia playset for I think they wanted $5,000. That was
only that's a song,
only, right? Only
that's a song and an old dance at that.
But a whole wall of G.I. Joe cards and vehicles in boxes. I asked them if they would maybe in the future allow overnights where you bring your mattress, your air mattress, for a few dollars. Everything stays locked up, but then, like the soft glow of the lighted displays, you can just, sit there and stare at it all night. I mean, you name the Joe figure, it was on card. Their Star Wars was equally impressive as well.
Just float him a Benji to let me sleep there with a nice tube TV and a Super Nintendo with some Planters cheese balls. And look at everything.
Be like, dude, it'd be excellent. I'm like, you guys should do like weddings and stuff. And they were like, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, people would. Keith Knight has a question for you already. He asked, "What you drinking there, Pete?"
I'm doing a little Old Forester, 86 proof.
I myself, if I can get wrong camera. If I can get my camera to cooperate, because that was one of those things that was hanging me up here. I've got some coffee in this pretty nondescript coffee mug. I don't know anything about this. I've never heard of this.
That is a very interesting logo.
And what is that? Echinikanon? Necronomicon something?
Was that 1981 after Buck Rogers came on? Then that came on? No.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds correct to me. But,
nice.
Yeah, so I got my morning go-go juice.
Heck yeah.
Yep, there's some medium roast black because I'm pretty basic. I can't add things to my coffee. I either add way too much or not enough, so I just don't do it.
Yeah, typically I'm just brew it up and slam it in a mug. Let's do it.
Oh, go to Tron. Shameless plug. Look, that's right. That's right. If I had merch, that's where I'd be like, "Oh, buy the merch." But I don't have merch. I will tell you to go buy the Iconicon and Retro Blast and Analog Toys merch, which I'm proudly wearing my Analog Toys shirt today.
Cool.
Michael Schaefer has a question for us. He says, "When are we going to see the next part of the Defiant?"
That is a very good question. I think we just have one tiny bit to shoot between Chris Miwa and Jeff Barker and I. And then that should be airing, I think, late in the week, I believe. I think Chris is pretty much ready to go, which I don't have a YouTube channel, but I appear often on Chasing 80s Toys, which is Chris Miwa's channel. And so I post some toy hunts there, and we've been doing some stuff. It's just a lot of fun. But yeah, Defiant Part 3 coming up.
That's right. I've said before, though, you should consider starting a YouTube channel and just not like kind of as yourself, but just your daily kind of work routine going underwater. But it's like you pick, I don't know, like Shipwreck or someone similar, just through their eyes, like, oh, and then just they're cleaning stuff and catching fish and reintroducing them into the water.
That would be cool. I could totally see that. Like wetsuit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wetsuit or torpedo would probably be a lot better than Shipwreck.
No, Shipwreck's good too. Of course, he wouldn't be doing any work, but
right, he'd just be trying to mac on Cover Girl and Lady J.
Right,
that old scoundrel. All right, yes, Michael Schaefer's. He says he recognizes my hand in the logo. That is true. That the Dr. Claw hand at the top is supposed to be me. So we thought that would be pretty clever. All right, so now that we've dispensed with the pleasantries, time to get into the hard and heavy. Which it's not hard and heavy, but so tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, you can be as vague as you wish. You don't have to give any self-incriminating evidence, but where you're from, around the time you were born, what you grew up with, all that kind of stuff.
I was born in 72, and I am a Hoosier, born in Indiana. Brief stint in Columbus, Ohio, as a young kid, but for the most part, a Hoosier. So
that's right.
Yeah.
So lots of flattened cornfields, I think, but unless
that's Indiana. Yep, just flat and steady.
I have a distinct feeling that outside toys is going to be a kind of big topic.
You know it.
Yeah. So let me actually get my questions pulled up here because I lack the foresight to pull those up. It's only mildly important.
We can wing it.
Yeah. All right. So, give me a rundown of, I guess, kind of one of the first not memories that you have, because Lord only knows what deep seated that might be. But what kind of, like, your memories of early childhood playing with toys? Was it things that you recognized, or was it kind of like myself, for example, some of the earliest toys I remember playing with were just kind of nondescript, like dollar store dinosaurs?
I tell you what, the probably the first real memories I have are Sandbox in our backyard at Elkhart, and next door were probably, they were. I was 3 or 4, and those gals were probably like 10 or 12. But even back then, you were like, hello,
Hi.
Yeah, hi, I like you. But Sandbox is definitely probably earliest memory. And then I brought a prop because Weebles. I just snagged this from the toy mall last year, but the Weebles Ranch House. That was definitely, this isn't my childhood one, but I did have this back in the day. And so, a lot of Weebles, Lincoln Logs.
Yeah, that's the famous adage I always heard growing up was Weebles will wobble, but they won't fall down.
Fall down. That's right. And if you put them in your mouth and you have a sibling, you can shoot them and hit them in the head when they least expect it.
Or be like me. I'd be the one that would put it into my, I wouldn't inhale before I put it in my mouth. I'd put it in my mouth and inhale and then end up swallowing it.
I'm joking.
Yeah. That makes a baker's dozen for him there. All right.
I think like the first action figure thing is Fisher Price Adventure People. Definitely. And I'm the same as Tony in the heli submarine set. Yes, there you go, deep sea diver.
Yeah. Every guest I've had so far has brought this up, so he hasn't left my desk.
Nice.
So
that was. Oh my gosh, that was. I mean, I lived for tub time. You couldn't blast me out of that tub. I would cry and whine until you put some more hot water in there. But had the octopus, which I still have the octopus. I just reacquired the sub about 6-7 months ago, something like that. But I had that along with the Fisher Price Little People. Always those were always like the people in trouble for bath time, like their ship capsized, and then the adventure people had to come in and save them. Right.
Yeah, I've got the submarine and the octopus and the floating, all that. That's out of arm's reach. It's somewhere over there. But that was. I remember the Fisher Price Little People, the ones that were basically just plugs. They had a head, round peg body. We had a school bus. And there was enough of them to fill that up because you get them dime a dozen.
Right. Yeah, they were super cheap. Yeah, we had the school bus and we had the parking garage that it had the little lift in it, so you could put the little person in a car, stick them in the lift, and then you'd wind it up and it'd hit the top and ding, and they'd spill them out the back, and then it'd go down the ramp. Oh yeah.
That's I hesitate to say they don't make play sets anymore because they do, but they being like Hasbro and all of them, or if they do make a play set, it's made out of cardboard. So, which nothing wrong with that. There's a precedent for it based on vintage play sets, but back then it was out of necessity. Now it's out of laziness.
You know what? I can also remember I went to preschool. And it was called the Lollipop Stop, but they had like this mega wall of obviously low shelves because we were all tiny, but they had like every Adventure People set you could think of, like the safari, the camping, the Rangers, that whole bit. Like that was, I loved going to preschool. I mean, I didn't want to go home because they were just literally wall of toys.
Oh yeah, that's. I remember preschool having, when you're that size, any room is a big room,
right?
And they had in my child's imagination this gigantic closet just stuffed with toys. It was probably more like a 3x3 closet. But thinking back to all the toys they had there, like in today's world, those would never fly because it was like a bunch of stuffed animals and things. Like there's a stuffed R2-D2. Like a plush R2-D2 that like squeaked, I think.
Nice.
But this is before the Faces trilogy movies, like before the VHS, and so I don't know where that came from. I just distinctly remember seeing it. He was my little buddy when I went to preschool.
That's awesome.
But they would never allow that now because kids get lice and they stick things in their nose, and
Yeah, it'd be a biohazard.
Yeah. So I remember when the Goodwill stopped taking toys like completely in like 2008. I think they're taking toys now, but like they stopped for a while because that's when they were like, oh yeah, there's lead in all the toys from this year to this year, and they were just like, yeah, we're not taking toys anymore, and just shut it down completely. I think they've gone back on that since, but
yeah, because we've dropped off some stuff from our kiddo over the years. Not that I mean, my parents did a really good job of saving our toys, short of Motu. But for our daughter, we've kept everything. I mean, we have giant bins of Barbies and Sweet Streets, and I mean, you name it, we've kept it. Just simply out of respect for her, because one day she's probably gonna go, "Hey, do we have?" and be like, "Here you go."
Right, and it's yeah. Every kid goes to that. Oh, I don't want this crap anymore. Get it out of my room, kind of thing. And some parents are just like, "All right," and they give it away, or they throw it away, or
yard sale it, or whatever. Yep.
Yeah, that was until this year. I was under the impression that all of my stuff, with the exception of like a handful of things, had gone through a yard sale and were gone. And I was visiting my mom and talking to her, and she was like, "Oh, I still have some of your stuff." And she pulled out this old steamer trunk that had a bunch of stuff still in it, and I was just completely full. I mean, nothing that was like, I'll say, quote, like none of the good stuff kind of thing. Like it wasn't like a mountain of Joes was hiding or something. It was like Toy Biz X-Men and stuff that I like, but it was basically the leftovers. We have a super chat here from Gojitron before we move on to our next question. He says, Pete, did any of your childhood toys influence your adult profession? Love the series, Sal. Thank you.
You know what, Goji? The more I think back on what I did play with and what I remember, it was like toy foreshadowing. I always gravitated towards underwater. I mean, I love space, don't get me wrong, but Deep Six was always a favorite Joe. That the Fisher Price Aqua Rescue Team. I mean, heavy play. I mean, I can remember playing with that set at my grandparents in the summer up in Minnesota. We'd go up to their cabin on the lake, and I would take that Adventure People subset, and I would be pruned from being in the lake that long. And now I'm paid to be pruned and hanging out in fish aquariums for underwater for hours at a time scrubbing. But I think it really did influence me. I think it was. Let's see. I'm trying to when I got certified. I think I've been scuba diving for 20 years. So take a that passion and then couple it with live exhibits for a job, and here you are.
Yeah, that's but don't worry, we'll circle back to bathtub time, because that's always fun. I had a great deal of fun myself with the kind of aqua toys. Fill up a sink in the bathroom or in the kitchen and play.
Yep, always.
So let's see. Now, you touched on it already. You said with the exception of Motu. What would you say? Because I'll rephrase the question. What would you say of your current collection? How much of it, percentage-wise, is from your childhood still?
I would say half is childhood. Wow. So yeah, Star Wars and G.I. Joe. Mom and Dad saved every single little thing. I mean, we're talking when I got that box from them many years ago, in it were the ancient bags with all the weapons and everything. I mean, yeah, it was quite amazing. When I kind of got the bug to start displaying this, when you see some of it behind me, it kind of blew me away going through those boxes. Like, wow, I can't believe I had all this. We were very blessed, to have awesome Christmases and birthdays and all that. I mean, the Terror Drone behind me was my brother's Christmas gift.
Wow.
I got the tactical battle platform that year. But
there's the water again.
Yep, more water.
Yeah, that's I'm always amazed at the consideration that a lot of parents have for that kind of stuff, like to hold on to everything for you like that. And like,
yeah, I mean, he had boxes and boxes of his G1 Transformers because that was his like mega jam. And yeah, I mean, everything, which was great, except for the Motu. That went to the churchyard sale. Go figure. But it was one of those. I mean, I remember her saying, "Do you guys really play with this anymore?" And we're like, "No." And she's like, "Okay." You know, and we were completely fine with it. I remember being at that yard sale and seeing it laid out in the blanket. It was no big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's. I remember a couple of yard sales when I was a child that my mom would have. She's like, "Well, do you play with this?" But like, no. And then she'd set up the yard sale and I'd go down there, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "But I kind of want to keep that." Like, I didn't want it till someone else wanted it. Now I want it.
Right? Yeah. The fact it might disappear.
Right. I don't want it, but I like to have the option.
Yep.
So,
there's the comfort there. Honestly, it was finding a really good shape Castle Grayskull that kind of reignited collecting and wanting to display it all. That just, it's like setting a torch to gasoline. Just it's like, oh, let's do this.
Oh yeah, that's and that's always the worst too. It's this is gonna sound really dumb, and I know it's gonna sound really dumb, but it seems like you always want to collect the stuff that you don't have, and I'll expound on that a little bit. What I mean that as is like, you have a lot of GI Joe or something, but you're like, you know what? I don't have like any sectars at all, so let me start collecting that instead of finishing what I'm doing.
Always.
Yeah.
That would be Mask, and I blame Chris Miwa front and center for getting me hooked on that. I got the Firecracker and the Condor just about a month ago, and now it's like, I gotta have more. I need more.
It never stops with one. It never stops.
No, the engineering in those toys it really does blow you away.
I understand why they couldn't, but I think if they had just been a little bit bigger, like maybe closer to GI Joe scale, just maybe so you could just kind of cram a GI Joe in there. Yeah, I'd be more interested in Mask.
I'm still like, I bought a couple loose figures Saturday. I got Miles Mayhem, and seeing them in a little tiny box, that's 3 3/4. Seeing them in that little box, it's like, well, that's not right. Like, I'm still not used to the mass scale of things. But yeah, you're right. If they had only been just a little bit bigger so that you could just, stick a Joe in there, that would have been sweet.
Yeah. Which I'm surprised that I'm sure people do. It's just I never hear of anyone doing it. Combining Dino Riders with Mask, because aren't those figures about the same size?
You know what? I think they are. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I have like 2 Dino Riders somewhere. A dude that has like a cobra head, and the other one it's like a hammerhead shark head.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what they were until about a year ago, something like that, because Dino Riders wasn't on my radar. It was my older brother, who was much older than myself, had them, and I didn't even know. I have a pterodactyl. I'm sure one of those guys goes with that pterodactyl. Cool. But I had no idea those 2 toys were ever even connected. And I'd forgotten entirely about Dino Riders until I saw a video on it, and I was like, oh, so that's what that is. Okay, so Wolfie says that Dino Riders are the same scale as Mask. They're the 2-inch scale.
Cool.
So if people are looking to, diversify their little displays, there's something to think about. So
It is funny how as kids, or
mhm.
at least me as a kid, I tended to have like toy tunnel vision.
Mhm.
You know, when it was, I got to see, lucky enough to see Star Wars. You know, as a kid, we sat front row because the theater was packed, and those were like the only seats available. So you know, Darth Vader to me was like 5 stories tall and
Right.
scared the crap out of me. But I loved every minute of it. And we went back another time to see it. You know, obviously a little farther back in the theater, and it was like, wow, this is even more impressive.
Mhm.
But it you know, to have those toys come out, and it was all about those. So adventure people kind of just started to fade away, short of like the parachute guy that would occasionally come out. It was all Star Wars, and then you know, into GI Joe with a little smattering of Motu with my brother. It's weird how you really had blinders to a lot of these lines. But you know, you only have so many birthdays and Christmases and
Mhm.
allowance money to go around. So
And Grandma only comes to see us so often.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was the Grandma was the plug when I was
Oh
a kid,
yeah.
as they would say. So, okay, World Made of Cardboard has a super chat. Thank you so much for that. He asks, since you like the Adventure People water toys, what G.I. Joe water toys did you have? I had the water moccasin.
Yep. Had the water moccasin with Copperhead. Definitely the shark and Deep Six. I've got my childhood shark over there parked under the tactical battle platform.
Would you consider the tactical battle platform as a water toy?
Yeah, I think it does double duty.
Yeah. I always picture it being like in a bathtub or like a puddle.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yep. And let's see, you how many other you said Deep Six. I'm assuming version 1.
Yep,
Okay.
D1.
For some reason, I have this obsession with version 4, the mail away one where he's like bright neon yellow.
That one is cool.
I don't know why. I don't know. Like, same thing with the Cobra Bug. I have no idea why. Something about them. I'm just like, I love that and I need it.
Yeah, that Cobra Bug. Oh my gosh, I saw one up in Cincy for $200, and it's still on my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's she's the girl at the bar that you didn't talk to.
Right?
Yeah,
Shoulda, woulda.
yeah. That's I think I was talking to you a couple weeks ago. I went to a place up here and they had a Cobra Bug for $70.
Yeah.
But it was like nowhere. Like they had like kind of like the big parts, but like none of the small stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't. If I get this for $70, I'm gonna end up getting nickel and dime to death.
Yeah, you
Over
get eaten
getting all
alive.
yeah, like because the driver wasn't with it. Like I was, so I was like, I'll hold out. I'll hold out for a hero. You know?
Right?
Oh, Tony's here.
What's up?
Hi, Tony. Thank you for the super chat. And he says, 2 of my favorite people. Hope you're well, gents.
Doing good, sir.
Tony, you'll be pleased to know that we've already had a shameless plug of Iconicon tonight, and I'm wearing my Analog Toy shirt at this very moment. So, yes, sir. Everyone is happy to see Tony. So,
Always.
So let's skip ahead a little bit. Let's talk about bath time toys and how I think I had this conversation with, it was either Tony or it might have been Matt Swafford. How it seemed like when toys went to the bathtub, that's where they stayed.
That's
Like,
like you're right. They didn't go back outside once they went to the tub.
mm-hmm.
No.
It seems like, because I have distinct memories of playing with certain GI Joes and certain toys in the bathtub, and they stayed along the side of the bathtub when I wasn't there.
We had a bin that we just chucked them into,
Mm-hmm.
when we hauled out.
Yeah, we had one of those plastic Tupperware containers,
Yep.
and it was like when you're giving your kid a bath, you just dunk it in the water, and all the toys went into that.
Yeah.
So they would dump out the toys. We'd play with the toys, and they'd just dunk water on our heads all the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like having a Little People I don't know if it was like a houseboat,
Mm-hmm.
some kind of watercraft, but that was the most treacherous ship that ever sailed the seas. I mean, that's what was always in peril. You know, either getting attacked by the octopus or just flat, you know, ran into something and was sinking, and you know, the adventure people had to come in and save.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was like the perpetual ferry accident.
Mm-hmm. That's I always had. There was always a creature of some kind. Speaking of creatures, this is a name I haven't seen before, but Snortopoopus says, "Hello, humans and other critters."
He's a polar bear. He's a friend of mine, and we hang out on clobbering time Saturday night for Star Trek.
So I have seen that name before. I was watching Clobbering Times, and I was like, I think this sounds familiar, but I couldn't place it. Okay, yeah, so that's where I've seen it. Oh, here we go. Well, first off, Michael Schaefer says, I must be weird. Max Ray was in the tub, but always dried off and was played outside too. Well, you said it, not me. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, it was just, you know, you were a little bit different than myself and Scuba. That's all that is. So it was a toy that you loved so much that it wasn't relegated to just bath time.
That's right.
So Analog Toy says, one time I put Talking I put Talking Action Man in the bathtub. He was so upset with me he never spoke to me again.
No.
Yeah. But mine was there was always a critter involved. One of my favorite toys, and I will never forget this. I was at Kmart. Yeah, Kmart. It was Kmart. No, Hills. I'm sorry. I was at Hills.
Okay.
And I don't know why that's important to the story, but it was important to me. I was at Hills, and how they have the kind of generic, you know, basket toys, for lack of a better word. Like, I saw a shark, and I wanted that shark so desperately bad. And my dad told me no, but he said, we will come. He's like, if you're good, you know, we'll come back, you know, 3 days from now.
You're like, 3 days?
And we'll get you the shark. I don't think I'd even entered preschool yet. And so he was anticipating kid brain to forget. And 3 days later, he came in from the door, which to me was Batman time. Whenever my dad got home, that meant Batman the Animated Series was on TV.
Cool.
He came in through the door, and I was like, Dad, get me my shark. And he just, what?
It's like, oh, damn.
Yeah, he's like, you remembered that? And I was like, shark, Daddy, basically, or whatever the hell kids say. And I went straight to the toy aisle. And I was one of those kids, I could never decide on anything. Like, I would just stare at all the toys for like an hour. Like, I don't know what to get. Because it's like, I'm going to get a toy. I better pick a good one. You know?
And back in the day, your parents would just leave you there while they actually shopped parts of the store, which was cool.
Oh, yeah, which you can imagine how angry they were when they did all their shopping, came back, and I was still standing there like, I don't know what I want.
Right? Yeah. If they were lucky, I'd narrowed it down to like, you know, a few figures of something, you know, like, I don't know.
And so that was like one of the only times I can remember going straight to the toy aisle, picking up the shark, and leaving. Like, I knew exactly what I wanted.
On a mission.
Oh, Knights of Old says, and then a big brown shark came. Oh, God. I do love me some Eddie Murphy. But so I had that shark for a long time, and then, you know, I had a big open mouth, and, you know, it was hollow, so gross stuff started to grow inside of it. And then I got a whale. I called it Moby Dick because it was white, so it was a white whale. It was originally blue, but it turned white because the paint flaked off into the tub, because that's safe. Lead.
That lead paint.
That's right. And then that one, it was a softer plastic, so I could actually like stuff a G.I. Joe into it, even though I was like, whales don't eat humans, but I used it anyway. But this is a long story to get around to my favorite, which was a squid. It was a squeaky, like souvenir toy squid, like it had a squeaker in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember cutting my finger doing this, but I'd cut the squeaker out. Like I took a kitchen knife and was sitting there trying to saw out the squeaker so I could shove a GI Joe inside of it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So there was always a creature involved with my bath time play.
Well, there had to be.
Yeah.
We'll take your squid idea, and later in life, that rubber adventure person squid. I actually at the aquarium got to play with the real octopus several times. In its enclosure, politely, but it's kind of like kneading bread because you're just all these tentacles just kind of keep coming up and sucking to you, and you're like, oh god, this kind of is like what you imagined in bath time.
I've seen enough videos on the internet. I know where this is going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I've interacted with a real octopus one time, and the suction cups feel weird.
They are very weird. Yep.
And they're like, "Oh, that means he likes you." And I'm like, "I don't know. I feel like
he's up to something."
Yeah, he's got a beak down there somewhere.
That's right. The only bony part is gonna get me.
That's right. Let's see. Knights of Old says he had a squirting dolphin from the Adventure People, and the octopus was cool.
Oh yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Yep.
And then he follows it up with, and the Tomy wind-up bath toys were awesome.
I don't think I had any of the Tomy bath toys.
The only thing I can think of was like I had this turtle that it had front flippers that like alternated, so it would like swim to the top of the water.
Yeah, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, whether that's Tomy or not, I don't know, but that's the one I'm thinking of. So cool. Gojatron, we might have to meet up, bud. He says, living in New England, I had plenty of cheap plastic sea animals. The tourist trap shops are full of them. Yes, they are.
And they still are.
Yep, that's because I'm glad you're here, Gojatron, because that's exactly what I was talking about with that squid. Like the time you'd see at a souvenir shop, like basically when the parents are buying the sweaters that have the name of where they're at, and the kids are like, I want this generic toy that I could get anywhere.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So he follows it up with a little wind-up turtle, a great whale that moved and shot water from a blowhole. Okay.
Cool.
Oh, and Wolfie had a small white and orange wind-up motorboat. That thing was sick, bro.
It was totally sick, bro. Nice.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, bath time was a unique thing, which, speaking of bath time and water and your profession, for those that didn't catch it, in the description of this video, there's a pun where I say we're making a deep dive on our memories here. So, this is a question that Timothy Ward had actually asked Laserpants, and I haven't asked any other guest yet because it just we only have so much time, and I always space cadet on the questions I want to ask. Did you ever freeze any of your toys in water?
None that are coming to mind. I don't.
Yeah, that was something I always did. I would take a GI Joe, put them in a cup of water, and I'd put the water in the freezer, and then I'd thaw them out the next day.
Cool.
It was just this
kind of a thing that I did. Yeah, like Han Carbonite kind of deal.
Yeah, that's how Timothy Ward put it. But I was hung up on that trope as a kid, like our hero frozen in time kind of thing, like because it was in half the things I was watching. So I'd like, put my GI Joe and freeze him in there. Now he's the hero.
Buck Rogers.
That's right.
I mean, the only thing that's coming to mind, and it's not toys, is popsicles, homemade popsicles with the the
Kool-Aid and all
Kool-Aid in a Dixie cup.
Sir.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
Mom went to a Tupperware party and came home with the Tupperware reusable popsicle sets.
Mm-hmm.
That you got an even bigger popsicle. Oh,
yeah. That's I remember we had one of those. It was a little fancy in my brain, but it was like you would fold it down and close it, and you would fill it up. There was like a little slot for the popsicle stick to hold it.
Yeah.
And they let the child try to do it, aka me, and I broke it. So the top half was gone forever. So all of our popsicle sticks just kind of laid to the side, so your popsicle looked all weird. But so we got two more things. Michael Schaefer says,
Nice.
First, Bjorn Jorgensen said, I had a Luke and a Captain America that he froze.
Oh, nice.
And unfortunately, Michael Schaefer says he froze his Stretch Armstrong. On the flip side of that, Michael Schaefer, Stretch Armstrong made a comeback in like the 90s at some point because I got one for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited. I was like, pulling, and of course, letting go, hit my sister with it because that's what we do.
Right.
I had him for one day, and I sat him down on this bench in the living room because I was like 4 or 5 years old, not knowing that when the sun came up the next day, it would beat down on him on that bench for about 5 hours until it went over the side of the house. He was a bubbled up, melted mess by the time I found him.
Oh, no.
So I tried to stretch him, and he just popped, and it was all hot, and it burned my hands. And yes, it was a mess. It was a big old mess. Knights of Old has a question. He says, question, is the yellow scuba sled from the Adventure People boat based on an actual vehicle? If you don't know what he's talking about, I can go get mine. I know what he's talking about.
Yeah, go grab it and throw it up because it's a cool little.
All right, it's the Scuba Pete hour.
That's right. I love that you have quick access to it. And the sled makes me think of Thunderball, James Bond Thunderball. All right, when Sal gets back, everybody act casual.
All right, we're back. So I gotta mute this real quick because everything's in Ziploc baggies. So okay, so I'll just leave it up on that question while I unzip all this crap.
So now it's really you all and me. And yes, it is based on actual scuba scooters. Yeah, I would love to have the personal one. I don't currently own one. I have seen them. I've dove with some people that have had them. Much like you see in like the movie Thunderball. I'm always jealous because you don't have to expend a whole lot of energy, and you can just zip around on the reef till you have to surface. I mean, it's just very little work to just scoot around in those things, which is really cool.
I assume he's talking about this. The little boat.
I don't know.
Or am I completely off base here?
I think he's talking about the one that went with the boat. Like it had the sled and the boat.
Oh, okay. Well, then I wasted everybody's time, and I apologize.
No, that's all right.
So I went ahead and grabbed my octopus and everything else.
There she is.
So.
Oh yeah.
See if this
the treasure chest.
Yep. Still plugs in. Boom.
Sweet.
Okay, there's a little umbilical.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I've thought about getting an empty fish tank and just setting these up in there.
That'd make for a good little diorama.
Mm-hmm. I'm always thinking about stuff like that, like putting dinosaurs in one of them with fake plants.
Yeah.
But, well. All right, let's see what else we got here before we move on to the other questions. Let's see. Spoon Killer says, Action Joe in the orange scuba diver suit with the blow-up dinghy could never hold him.
That was a tiny dinghy.
Yeah. Let's see. Michael Schaefer says, who had Suckerman and what color was yours? I'm not...
If I remember right, he was the, what was it, the green one?
I'm
pretty sure it was green. Whoa, I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Oh, yeah. Keith Knight says that he had the Action Man Fire Tender, which had a working water pump and hose. So I would often set fire to my old toys in the garden and then put them out. My dad was somewhat less enthusiastic.
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
I didn't know I had an actual working pump.
Oh, well, you know.
Oh, that's slick.
Yeah.
Palatoy goodness.
Let's see. Action figure expert has a question. He said, sorry. Well, I guess we're reading Timothy Ward first. He said, what 4 toys belong on your personal Mount Rushmore of vintage toys? That's a good question.
Ooh, what 4 toys? I think I've got to go with, I mean, if we're talking all of Toydom, definitely the USS Flag, you know, which is hanging out behind me. Castle Grayskull, because it's so iconic. Let's see. What else? I got 2 more. Space Legos. The the first little starship set, which I still have the blueprints for.
I was about to ask now. I assumed you would use a Space Lego man. I was going to ask now, is his helmet going to be broken at the bottom or is it going to be attached?
What else? Then I'd have to go. If I'm going new, I got to go the Robin Hood indoor redo of the treehouse. I mean, that's just my head's literally blocking it.
Yeah, that was a set I didn't know what it was until I found Retro Blasting.
Right? Yeah, the same way. I was like, "What the what?"
Well, it's like this is going to sound really, really weird, mostly because it is. So my aunt that lived next to my grandmother, she had this crawl space under her porch, like just this hole cut out, and it was just all dirt.
Yeah,
and sometimes that's where the cousins would go down and play because they were out of sight, out of mind. It was dirt, and you would play with toys. And I poked my head in there once, immediately got yelled at. But I saw 2 of those like hanging out towards the back end of the porch, and I never knew what they were. And then when I started getting into vintage Star Wars, I saw the Ewok Village. I didn't know that was a separate playset, and everyone's like, "Yeah, this is complete." I was like, "It's missing the trees, dude. What do you mean it's complete?" Yeah. I was like,
"Kidder, there's no foliage."
Am I taking crazy pills? Like, where's the leaves?
It does. It really makes it. I mean, I've got both, but it is hands down my favorite. And I've got a whole little scene going on up there now. And I did find it in England on eBay and have it shipped over before, I think that was 2018. Yeah, before it went nuts.
Yeah. Timothy Ward, to answer your question, what 4 toys belong on my personal Mount Rushmore? Destro version 1, Iron Grenadier Destro version 3, and Star Brigade Destro.
Star Brigade Destro is just cool. I mean, he's chunky. I know Tony might still be on here. He doesn't like that Star Brigade stuff. But now I got the Defiant sitting here. I was like, I got to have some of these Star Brigade guys that were, well past when I was into Joe's. And I'm like, these are cool. And that Destro one is just badass.
Oh, boy. So here we go. Michael Schaefer asks, Pete/Sal, what is your favorite Rebel and Imperial vehicle ship, Classic Kenner?
You want to go first or me?
I'll let you go first. I got to think about Rebel. I already know what Imperial is.
Rebel is my snow speeder. I'm looking at it right over there, and I mean the fact that it lit up and you had the tow cable. I love that ship. Imperial vehicle. That one's probably a little tougher, but I got to go with. It's also in the same set as my AT-AT. It's the what was it? The Legacy version. So it's got the cool weathering to it. Although, you know what? I'm going to take that back. I'm gonna go with Tidarian Shuttle.
Ah, yes. That's a good one.
It's
That's a big one, too.
a honker. I brought that home, and Leslie was like, "Oh my gosh!" And the wings were folded up, and I'm like, "No, wait!" And I hit the button. It was like, "Zwoosh." She was like, "Holy cow!"
Oh yeah.
I'm like,
that's
"Yeah,
a lot of real estate."
tons."
Yeah. The first time I saw one of those, I'd only ever seen photos of them, and the first time I saw one of those in person, I thought it was like a Legacy Edition one because everything's so big with Legacy Collection.
Right.
And I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh no, this is Jesus Christ. They sold these? How is that possible?
It's an older code, but it checks out. Holy crap, it's huge.
Yeah, see, I thought I knew my answer because I was like, oh, AT-AT, easy for Imperial, but I do love the look of that TIE Interceptor.
Ooh, that's a good looking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
with the sharp points coming. Oh yeah.
See, I feel like I'm gonna go with TIE Interceptor because the AT-AT, while a vehicle, is also a playset.
Right.
Because it's got the sides that fold down and all that kind of stuff. So
it's like the Millennium Falcon. I consider the Falcon double duty like that.
Yeah. At least the Falcon, you had that front landing gear and you could fly it around and hold on to it. That AT-AT, there was no way to make it walk. You would just pick it up and move it.
Yeah.
So, for Rebels, goodness, I'm very partial to the Y-wing. I like the way that it looks, even though I like the B-wing quite a bit. I'm gonna say Y-wing.
I like just the noise the Y-wing makes, in the movies when it's coming in. That's just a cool sound.
So, Action Figure Expert has asked his question over again. Sorry, I forgot to go back to it. He wants to know what your favorite watercrafts from, I believe that's supposed to be G.I. Joe or Cobra, and what your favorite water-related figure is.
From, let's see, Cobra, I got to, you know what? I'm going to have to pick it up because I made it. Just a sec.
The anticipation is killing me. Wolfie, droid socket goes a long way on the wire. Yeah. Yeah, this is your YouTube avatar right here.
Yep. So
yeah.
This was a Sentinel-1 sub that I took apart and did a little custom deal. This is like my favorite Cobra watercraft. I have it trailing the flag. It's got a little bit of LEDs that I can plug in and light it up. Next to that, if I'm going like actual Joe stuff, I think I go hydrofoil for Cobra. I mean, that's just a badass vessel. I love it. And the Cobra eels are one of my favorites. I really enjoy the wacky stuff that Black Major comes up with, and all the different colors. So I enjoy collecting those.
Oh yeah,
very much so.
I love it when he's like, "Oh yeah, here's Crimson Guard and Python Patrol."
Yeah,
or he did the Crimson Guard and Pimp Daddy Destro colors.
Yeah, it's like cool. All right, I'll bite.
Yeah, but I can't help but think it maybe some of that's done to avoid the you're killing our hobby with your repro garbage.
Right. Yeah. Look, I made him Pimp Daddy Destro. You can't say that, And they're like, true.
Yeah. They don't have a leg to stand on. So mostly because the same assholes keep using like 87 figure stands and trying to cram them into 82s and snapping the heels.
Yeah. My Storm Shadow just cracked like that a few months ago. Just bloop out of the blue. I was watching TV and he just fell over and I'm like, what's going on? You don't even have the stand still on. And I was like, good God, his heel cracked off.
That happened to my Firefly. I looked at the stand, I looked at the peg, and I was like, yeah, that's way too big. So I sat there with like basically plastic nippers and cut it down so it would fit just enough to keep him on there. and evidently I didn't take enough off because I just heard ka-toom, because it like shot off of him. Like, what the hell is that? And
You're like,
firefly down. So that's all right. But what I do now is like if I have to have someone on a stand, I just put sticky tack and put them in front of the peg. So
you know what? That's actually a much safer alternative.
I
know Spoon Killer's asking for like a little bit of the interior.
Yes.
Right to roll it. It's
Here,
tough to see. I mean, it's.
Let me get you solo here. There you go.
Full screen. You've got like the Chat May seats that came with it, but for the front console, I used part of the Defiant seating and trimmed it down and fit it in there. And then there's I took it out, but I still that you recognize that, right? Cobra bug action.
Yes, sir.
This is normally in here, and that's like the diver lockout chamber. And
nice.
Missile launch, that's where the divers can come out. So
smart, so they can pressurize appropriately.
Yep.
So if you were in a submarine, I don't think there's any level of preparation to prepare you for going out of that containment. But that was not to go completely off topic. I'd heard the bends before. I'm like, what is the bends? So I looked it up. I heard about the diving bell incident, and I was like, oh, what's that about? And I looked at images. I was like, ooh,
not good.
Instant, just
yeah, not good at all.
Like
very real.
Yeah, that they exploded so fast that their brain couldn't have processed what was happening. Like they were literally dead before their brain could have even registered what happened.
Yep,
and that's just intense.
Yeah, so we have a rule just for recreational diving, which is never rise faster than your bubbles ever, and then you still do a deco stop to off gas. So you try to, and you're also diving either on computer or you're diving the Navy tables. So you've only got a limited amount of time, and yeah, if you play by the rules, normally everything goes to plan. If you booze it up and then you go dive in and then you go fly in an airplane, bad things could happen.
Yeah.
That's
if you rise faster than your bubbles, you're gonna have a bad time.
You're gonna have a really Just think of shaking up that Coke and then popping the top. It's like
Yes, sir. Oh, Wolfie has a good question. I've pretty much just given up on asking any of my questions. I'm just gonna,
the chat.
They're coming up with better questions than I got anyway. So, because mine are always like, so how do you feel about taking toys outside? You remember that, huh? So, did you guys ever jam cargo or stowaway characters in battery compartments of the larger vehicles, Y-Wing, AT-AT, Falcon, etc.? Absolutely, because I never had batteries in mine. My parents, a lot of mine were from Power of the Force 290, so they didn't have batteries anyway. But anything that had batteries, my parents would take them out, and then they would tell me they don't make batteries for that anymore. So it was immediate stowage for me anyway. That's if I could keep the battery covered, which always disappeared.
It's always great for guns, or if it was Joe's, and it didn't have batteries, you were always like stuffing. I mean, I would raid the kitchen, the mom's kind of crafty area, whatever I could get a hold of, to make into G.I. Joe stuff. I would do it. I mean, you give me a brown paper bag for what should be for your P&J school lunch, and I'm like, a couple sticks, I'm outside and I'm making that like a bivouac, tent for my Joes. She had some, I've still got it, plasticine clay that we played with, and that was kind of like a kid art project or whatever. Well, we still had that around. It was still pliable, as we got into kind of 11, 12 years old. I used it as plastic explossions and, hit up Dad for some wire, like, hey, could I have some wire? I want to make a bomb. And he's like, okay, and he'd give me just some little offcuts of wire, but I've still got an oil drum wired up.
How many fingers do you have? 10? All right, well, just make sure you still have them when you come back.
That's right. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, my dad was one of those. If I injured my finger somehow, he'd look at me like, you got 9 more. Thanks, Dad.
Yep.
Wolfie here, or I'm sorry, that's Michael Schaefer. Sorry, read the wrong name. He says he had batteries on Christmas Day and birthday, then never
And then
again.
never
After
again.
that, cargo bay.
Right? Yeah. And that was planned. So they didn't have to listen to that anymore. I mean, can you?
Yeah.
I think I may have mentioned this before, but maybe it was on Tony's stream. But my brother and I got fire helmets with a revolving.
Oh, yep. I had one of those. Yeah.
My grandparents gave those to us, and when we got home, my dad immediately confiscated them. He took some duct tape and somehow covered up some of the speaker internally, so it would be quieter. And then, we would run around the basement, with our helmets, basically ramming each other in the dark with the lights going. And eventually, the batteries went out on that, and oddly, there weren't batteries available for that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Spoon Killer brings up something I hadn't thought about in probably a decade or more. Because kids nowadays don't understand the struggle of looking for C and D size batteries.
Right?
Yes. That's always because you never, as a kid, you couldn't just eyeball it and be okay, I need those ones. And then you end up with one that's too big or too small. And then heaven forbid you need a 9-volt.
Oh gosh.
So, I remember sticking those on my tongue. It still worked. Yep, still good.
Yep, still good.
I did that. And my old lady looked at me. She's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Making sure it still has a charge." She's like,
"I just tested it."
So she'd never seen that before, and so I could tell that she didn't want to seem stupid. Like she thought I wasn't looking, so she took a AA battery and licked it and just kind of looked at it. And I was like, "It doesn't work with those. You need the positive and the negative on the same side."
Yeah.
Funny. Let's see, y'all. Action Figure Expert has another question. Sorry, people. I'm trying to move as fast as I can. He said he's asking you what your favorite water-related movie is. Like words are difficult. Like Leviathan or Abyss or some other water-related movie. I'm going to answer for him. It's Waterworld with Kevin Costner.
Oh God. Whew. Definitely not. I gotta go. I think I said it before. Thunderball, James Bond, top notch. I love that movie. I also like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Disney, old school.
Yeah.
That
swear by your tattoo.
Ding 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 ding.
Yeah. I swear by my tattoo.
There was Mermaid Minnie.
Oh God, I have that movie on DVD.
I love it.
Blu-ray. Yeah, I saw that movie as a kid. My grandmother got it for us on VHS because grandmas are the best.
Oh yeah.
And from then on, I've mentioned before, the source material existed for most of the toys that I owned, but I wasn't familiar with 90% of it outside of Dragon Ball Z.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to name 99% of my GI Joes. I knew Destro and Cobra, but I only knew certain versions. If you'd shown me Destro version 2 with the gold head, I would I don't know who that is. And my Cobra, the only Cobra commander I really knew was from the Hall of Fame with the rubber silicone hood.
Oh yeah.
And so if you showed me version 1 or swivel arm, who the hell's that? I only know Cobra with a hood. So long story to get around to, because of 20,000 Leagues, Nemo was the name I went to for fucking everything. Because Captain Nemo was just a cool name.
Oh, yeah, totally.
World Made of Cardboard, I will get to your super chat in half a second, I promise. But Salacious Rum says, Salacious does the same thing to his Kowakian monkey lizard jungle. Hey, Scuba.
What's up, Salacious?
So, World Made of Cardboard has sent a super chat. Thank you so much. He says, so, are you saying a flying subshark would not be a great idea? Yeah, I think that pressure would probably play into that.
Well, since it is a pressurized vehicle, your body wouldn't be subjected to that. Now, if it flooded and you experienced, those depths and then it jumped out of the water, that would be a bad idea. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking at those very deep levels and sudden surfacing, I'm not sure how well that glass is going to hold. going that fast from.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's see here. Oh, here you go. Here's a question. Michael Schaffer asks, "Did you like the Thunderball remake? Never Say Never Again."
Oh, I enjoyed it. I mean, who, Fatima, I think she still left a mark on me.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Can't beat a Bond girl.
Right. I definitely enjoyed it. I'm not going to say it's not in my top 10, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Snortapoopa says he doesn't think Kirk Douglas ever sang in another movie.
It was a weird thing. Kirk Douglas and my grandfather, they looked a lot alike. Like for a long time, I think as a kid, I thought they were almost the same person in some weird alternate universe. And then as I got older, I really went, oh my gosh, Grandpa does look like Kirk Douglas. Like he had the dimple and the whole bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And World Meta Cardboard just has Hunt for Red October.
You know it. Oh, so good. Yep. I love give me a good sub movie.
All right. So
Crimson Tide.
Oh yeah. Which I was always like, yeah, Crimson Tide. And then I was visiting Florida and they're like, oh yeah, you can't go in the water right now. It's Crimson Tide. I'm like the movie?
Yeah, what are they like shooting another one?
Yeah. And then they're like, oh no, it's like the algae and everything. It'll kill you. I'm like, oh, well, I guess that's a good name for it. So, all right. I think we're caught up on questions now, so I can start asking you my Ben Stein questions. So, was there anything that you had as a kid, like a toy or something that you didn't play with and kind of didn't like, but now you appreciate as an adult collector?
Toy that I had as a kid that I didn't appreciate.
Yeah, which is also, it's kind of like a twofer question, because one of my other questions is always like something you saw in the store, like a shitty toy, like one that you saw in the store, you're like, oh man, that's going to be cool. You get home, it was a disappointment. Everyone always says Silverhawks, so.
Silverhawks. I'm trying to think. That's a good stumpy question. I don't like. I remember having I got like one of those cheap plastic boats. Go back to tugboats, like red hull, white plastic top, and it just snapped base, and it's like basically it wouldn't. I thought that would be a lot more fun than it was, and that always became just underwater wreckage because it just sucked as far as floating. The slightest little wave, and it's like, oh no, it's sinking. Yeah, it's like we'll just sink already.
You look away for half a second, just blip, 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 blip.
Yeah, you're like, what do you? But no, I can't, because you couldn't even put like figures in it because it would tump over. Yeah, that's probably my best answer for the bought and disappointed. But I'm trying to think of something that I had that I didn't appreciate then.
It would be a similar thing, like any toy you got like that as a kid that was like, man, this toy kind of sucks, but now you have like an appreciation for it. Like, yeah, that toy boat sucked, but it was my toy boat.
Yeah, I gotta look it up here. The Bigfoot MCB. That was like a Radio Shack, toy, I think. I used it highly, but I remember getting that and just kind of being like, oh man, like wanting a JoJo vehicle, and instead got that as probably a birthday gift or something at the time. But now I'm like, yes, I still have it. I mean, I have Cobra Commander, up in there, like onward.
Yeah, that's Michael Schaefer chimes in and says Transformers were his biggest toy disappointment.
Really?
I can believe that. I really can. I hate to say Transformers. You could probably just leave the Formers part, because there wasn't any transforming going on by the time I got to them. Because they were the the remnants of a once great civilization that I inherited from my older brother, and so that's what I played with. But gosh, it was 2 years ago. I got the re-release of Soundwave from Walmart, and I transformed him. I was like, man, you can't play with this guy. Like his legs move in weird ways. Like, so I could see how that would be a disappointment. Like you watch the show, you want them to fight and run around, and then for some reason Megatron has a trigger for a crotch. Like, you know.
Yeah, they're not exactly like I said, that was my brother's passion. I mean, when I was just gaga for Joes, and he had, like I said, several Joes, but like Transformers was like, he didn't miss a cartoon of that ever. And it was almost like if I want to get his goat, I could just like interrupt him while he was watching Transformers and he'd get all ticked off. But I could see, as far as playability, and standing them up and they just kind of clunk.
That's so was it a dark day in the Scuba household when the Transformers movie came out?
Yeah, it was kind of like, huh?
All my heroes are dead.
Yeah, everybody's dead. It's gone tits up.
Yeah. Stiff Kitten says, he's like, if you think Soundwave is bad, Blaster can move his shoulders? He's real good at shrugging, I hear.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah, that Spoon Killer brings up a good... I think I talked about this with Tony. He could never get over the scale issue with Transformers, which I understand. They've, like, kind of explained it away in canon with some... I'd have to ask Thomas about it, or Lyle Convoy, because he's like a guru with that stuff. I hate to use that word, but he's like a mastermind with that stuff. But that was something that always bugged me. I was like, so why is he so big and he's so small when they're the same size? And how is this truck so big when, how does a VW Bug transform into a 3-story robot? I don't get it. Mass shifting, that's what it is. Thank you, Michael Schaefer. Mass shifting.
That's BS.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Welcome back, Jeff Bart. He says he's back. Stupid work getting in the way of fun. Yeah.
Pesky work.
The things we have to do for money, believe me.
Right.
Boys got to eat. Wolfie says they eat robot spinach and get bigger from time to time.
You beat me to it.
That's anytime I think of Popeye, I immediately think of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest when they're on the boat and he's just out there on the one Popeye the same man, just singing it to himself.
Right.
That's immediately what I think of every time. Let's see. Some more questions here.
Questions
I need answering. Okay. So you mentioned that you had a brother.
Yep. Yeah, he was younger.
Yep.
3 years younger.
Yep. That was the end of my question. No, but I was going to ask if you ever played with your siblings or if you preferred to play alone.
I kind of reverberated solo play. We would play together, and then we were lucky enough to have just a neighborhood chock full of kids our age, and so that always was an option. Certainly with, I don't know why, but we didn't like when Star Wars toys first came out. So I had like my X-Wing and Farm Boy Luke, and I had a vinyl cape Jawa. I remember his cape tearing and just pitching it, like, well, that's broken. Think,
I don't need that anymore.
I don't know who needs that. Shrink. And you'd gather up your few Star Wars bits, and then of course the moms would call around and make sure that playtime was okay at someone's home, and then we'd all go mass our forces, and which was usually down the street at Terry's house, because he had literally every toy that Kenner was coming out with for Star Wars. So he wanted for nothing. So you would always bring your one stormtrooper, and your few guys, and of course he'd have half a dozen stormtroopers.
Right. Yeah, that was. It seems like all of us are kindred spirits because it's always like, like I told this story to Ryan, and I think maybe Matt. I'm not sure, but and you can stop me if you've heard it before. The one, I guess, troop builder, for lack of a better word, that I had more than one of was Power of the Force 2 Tusken Raider. I had two of those. Yeah, I was at Big Lots with my grandma because grandmas are the best.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, well, get whatever you want, honey child."
Yes.
And I was like, "Oh, threaten me with a good time," because it's Big Lots, so everything's cheap.
Right. Everything's super cheap.
Right. And so I find a Tusken Raider because, I don't know what it was about them, but I'm not going to do it because when I do it, it's very loud. I can do a pretty good impersonation of a Tusken Raider. I would do that running around the house. Like I'd find a broom, just put it over my head and start doing that. So I love those things. And Big Lots had two of them. And I was all excited. And I was like, "Oh, I want these." And she looked at me. She's like, "That's the same one. Go get something else." And I was like, "No, Grandma, you don't understand." And
I need two.
And she was right. She called it because I didn't bring any toys with me. And so I had two Tusken Raiders to play with at Grandma's house. And I was like, they don't have anything to fight. So,
like, don't you say that, and but just a few weeks ago, we have a ginormous mountain at the Bass Pro Shops where I take care of the aquariums there, and I was pole cleaning a top exhibit, so I had a staff, and I finished what I was doing, and I stood on top of the mountain looking out over the store and went, and like some guy way down on the first level, looked up like, what's wrong with that dude? And then a couple of employees who know me well and know that I like to joke, they were just cracking up, but they got it. So
yeah, it would have been funnier if he'd yelled back, "I'll be back soon and in greater numbers."
That's right. Yeah, that would have been cool.
Jeff Barker, thank you for the super chat. He says he has to go to dinner now. Thanks, Al and Scuba. Can't wait to watch the rest of the episode later tonight. You guys kick butt. Thank you, sir.
Jeff.
Yes, and I hope you enjoyed. I have a great time doing these shows. You have to come back if we're still going. When you come back, let us know what you had for dinner.
That's right,
because I need ideas.
Me too.
Okay, so I'm looking for questions here. Because I've seen some in the chats actually moving pretty quick. Timothy Ward, the swinging dick, as I like to call him, because he's the powerhouse. He's a stand-up gentleman. He says, "Sorry, house cleaning. So don't know if you've answered this or not. We haven't." He says, "But how do your Muggle friends and significant others feel about the time, space, and income that go into your collective, or in your respective collection?" Sorry.
You know what? I have a very supportive wife with my addiction. She will often scout ahead of me at the toy mall. Like I said, it's just a monstrous place with just, I think they're up to 300 glass cases. And we're talking like they're 8 foot by 3 foot and have just a sliding door on them. So I think, they're up to like 300. I counted something like that. And they're adding more. Yeah.
Wow.
It's insane. Well, she will scout ahead of me, oftentimes like one aisle over, and I'll hear, "You're going to want to see this," And so she supports me in my toy addiction, which is pretty awesome. Her favorite character is Yoda, so anything Yoda. And last year she found a carded Empire Strikes Back Yoda. The bubble was cracked, but she found it for like $70, I think it was. And I was like, "I love you more and more every day." She's like, "Shut up. Are we getting it?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, we're getting it."
Especially when that crack gets a little bit better now, or a little bit bigger, then you have like the mintiest of the minty.
That's right.
And that's speaking of carded, you're a big Joe collector, and it's something I feel like we're all pretty much on the same page about. But collecting Joes on card, how do you feel about buying Joes on card?
I you know what? The only carded Joe I have is a Takara Firefly that I won on a Black Major giveaway auction. You know, where the way he does it, if you participate, you buy a figure or whatnot. Then oftentimes on down the road, he says, "Okay, guys, everybody who participated in this sale from this date to this date, we're gonna, you know, there was 56 people. Everybody pick a number." And so I did that, and I won that Takara Firefly. And I mean, it's cool, but you know, like the new store, the Villains toys, you know, that whole giant wall of carded Joes. I was blown away by the prices.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they had a V2 Snake Eyes, and it was $2,300 and on a mint card, and I'm like, oh, I can't even process that. It just blew me away. I don't, you know, I've got my buddy Matt that I purchased the USS Flag from. We met on Facebook Marketplace, and you know, clearly we're brothers from another mother now, and we hang out and talk all the time.
Right.
And he has found a honey hole of carded Joe figures that he's been picking up, and for not too much money. They're in like really great shape, but they're still, you know, $100, $200 kind of range.
That's I have 2 carded Joes, both from the 90s. So, you know, let's not get excited.
What are they?
One is General Flag. He was my very first GI Joe. Cool. Not my first GI Joe, like my first GI Joe. Like there were a couple that my older brother had in the house, but he was my first GI Joe.
Yep.
And Dr. Mindbender version 2.
Oh.
Which is I know no one's favorite, but I love that version of him. Mostly because he doesn't look like he's about to go to some seedy club.
Yeah, with the cod piece.
Yeah, where people drink Baileys out of a shoe and wee on each other. That's a throwback there for you. Keith Knight has a we'll come right back to what we're talking about, but Keith Knight says my wife collects elephants. Yeah, and I remember him talking about the elephant cuckoo clock in his house. So she's very quote supportive, although she does mock the fact that I'm 53 and play with toys. She calls us vintage children. I like that.
I like that a lot. Growing older, but not up.
But in terms of like collecting on card, those are the only 2 that I have. And the only reason I got Mindbender on card was because at the time, this is before classified, like G.I. Joe's blown up in like the last year or like year and a half at this point. And it was the same price to get him on card as it was loose.
Yeah. So
I was like, oh, just get him on card. Now I'll open it. And then I never did.
Well, and that's, I guess I should qualify my answer too, because I look over here. I didn't like the 25th anniversary Joes. I mean, I'm O-ring. Don't get me wrong. I love my O-ring Joes. But 25th anniversary Joes weren't even a thing that I was aware of that had come out. I wasn't paying attention to it, and so this retro Joe release, I'm enjoying it just simply to grab these figures super cheap for that like cool ass card art.
Right.
That's my like, ooh, you know, and I completely understand with everybody going, dude, they're the same thing. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah, it was just the way that it was marketed. If they had just said from the jump, hey, we're going to bring back the 25th line, no one would have batted it out. Okay, cool. But it's the fact they call it the retro line.
Yeah, as soon as they said retro, you're thinking,
O-ring and everything. Yeah.
They're going to have O-rings. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, stop calling them that.
No, I will say the getting like a His Tank or an Off Striker from that line, way cheaper than getting a vintage one, and they look identical, and you don't have to worry about beating them up or anything. So,
yep, that's exactly. I have my childhood Off Striker still. You know, the suspension's a little loose after a lot of Dukes of Hazzard jumps, but yeah, I picked up 2 of the retro Off Strikers. One just to keep in the box because I'm silly, and then the other one I had a big time putting it together, and I'm like, when did I become so old that I suck at decaling? Like, I need tweezers, I need my bifocals, I mean, I need all the lights on in the room, and I'm still putting them on crooked.
Yeah, see, I had that thought, and then Morbius was like, "What if I told you were never good at it?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's a fair point."
It's a fair point. Yeah.
I remember putting stickers on vehicles when I was a kid. They'd go on crooked, and I'd try to like peel them up and put them back on, but then they were like dog-eared on the side from peeling them up, and that's why I just don't put stickers on anything anymore.
Well, and you also wanted to sticker them up as a kid so fast so you could play with them. Like, fine, what? All right, let's take this out.
That's I know things like the Cobra Rattler and the Sky Striker and all that. They have like the little kill count, like little Cobra things you put on the side. I never understood what those were for as a kid. I was really confused. So I thought that it was just like, oh, I guess this is to turn it into a Cobra jet if I want. Like, it made no sense to me. As an adult, I'm like, oh stupid kid. But I bring that up to say, talking about carded Joes, I don't actively buy them because eventually the O-ring's going to break inside of there, and then I'm just going to have a carded,
goosey.
Yeah, a carded chunk of pieces.
Yep.
So, but I don't know. Everyone collects different things.
I do like catching the card backs themselves, for a few bucks, just loose, for that. One that it is 100% the original real deal and that Hector Garrido art. I'm like, oh yeah. And as long as they're not ripped up and absolutely shredded, I've got a few, like I've got wetsuits and obviously those type of characters. I'm like, yeah.
That's I'm not above a good card back. Like, because those are easier to store. I just put them, like the toys I get now, the modern ones, when they have a card back, I cut the bubble off with a razor and I just store them in a long box for comic books.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that way I don't have to worry about them. That's the other thing. Collecting things on card, I always feel like it's more of a burden. It's like, oh, like I got it in this condition now. Anything that happens to it, it's my fault. Like if the card gets bent or something, then
or the bubble gets dented or smashed,
right, or it starts turning yellow. Like, oh no, what did I do? So, but it is what it is. So where was it? I just saw one. Action figure expert again. He says, question for you. He asks if you army build your vintage G.I. Joe figures, and if so, do you have a limit? He does not have a limit for army building.
I can never, ever pass up a Cobra bat at a good price. I won't pay the inflated price, but if I can find them for $20-25,
good luck.
Good luck. It happens. I will say it happens. Now, sometimes they're going to be missing like one of the accessories or that. I'm like, I'm fine with that because if I'm army building, I mean, I like to, in fact, let me here, I like to do, dynamic scenes. And so I tend to, if there's a bat that's missing an elbow, I'm like, I'm gonna think about putting him down in the shop to get fixed, at the Terrordrome because he's malfunctioning. That kind of. Yep.
But so before I learned what Black Major was, there was a local store. I was getting back into G.I. Joe. Very long story short. My soul had been crushed after all my Joes left, and I didn't really know how to get back into it because I didn't know any of their names or anything like that. But I was like, you know what? I love G.I. Joe, always have, so I'm gonna dump into that whirlpool. This is after I'd sold collection number 2 and I was starting collection number 3.
Gotcha.
And a shop local to me had a Cobra bat that was back metalized in silver.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I know it's a bat, but I don't know who made it, where it's from. The G.I. Joe group saw, that's Black Major. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then people are like, why would you spend money on that? That's blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whatever.
Because I like it.
That's right. I was like, because it was like $30 and he looks cool.
Yeah.
But I made this whole comic book panel about it with Dr. Mind. I have this 3D printed Cobra throne for Cobra Commander.
Oh, cool.
And Dr. Mindbender, it might be on my Facebook, on my Instagram, maybe something. And he's like, come see, I've made a new creation. And, he starts walking away, and Firefly and Storm Shadow poke their heads out from the side of the little throne he was sitting on. And he goes walking down the hallway, and Major Blood and Destro are having an argument. And then they run into the Crimson Twins, and he gets to Overkill, which I don't know Overkill's canon thing, but to me, he's just the general of the bats. That's what I made him. And so he tells the bats to move, and then it's like, ta-da, and it just has a picture, and it's just a silver bat. And he's like, I've created a new bat. And Cobra just looks at her. Coco looks at him and goes, why, though? Like, so. But, yeah, that's...
I can just hear him saying, it's exquisite.
That's right. Say no. I want to see what happens. But, Epic Badger is here. He says, howdy, everyone. Hello, Scuba.
Hey! What's up?
Let's see. Reading a couple of these before we move on. Not that they're, bad comments or anything, but we have a few questions to get through. So we're talking about army building and buying and all that kind of stuff. So talking about Cobra bats, I'm trying to work my way back to where I was. So bats. I know a lot of people don't like the bat version 2. They had like the neon green and neon orange on it. Those bats and the ones from 2008, I think it was, are the ones I go for because it's the same body and I can army build them and they're really cheap. Yeah,
they're not bad. I picked up the V2 bat, and I think he was $12.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a little damage to him, but I'm like, that's all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last the last version 1 bat, a complete version 1 bat that I saw was $120.
That blows my mind.
Oh. Yeah, it was crazy when I first started collecting, or not first, but when I first started recollecting GI Joe. Like most of the people I knew or like on the groups didn't care for bats at all. Mm-hmm. They were like, no, it was all about Cobra Troopers. Yeah, like the Vipers, and then people were like, "Oh, bats look so ugly. They're robots, yada yada." Then the version 1 bat that I own, all he has, I think I have the backpack, and he has the normal hand. He doesn't have the claw or anything else. It's $5.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. There you go.
And then 2019 going into 2020 happened, and everything just started steamballing ahead. So
I gotta say, do you army build any Star Wars stuff?
Technically, I don't really army build army builders, but I do buy any vintage Bosk that I see.
Nice. So
I have like 7 Bosks.
Yeah, cool.
For no reason. Because I'm one of those, like, if it's like if I go to Walmart or something, I don't have to buy anything at Walmart. But if I go into someone's like own shop that they're trying to run, I'll buy something.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not just going to walk around and be like, oh yeah, neat, and then leave. Yeah, like
exactly.
I'll buy, like, even if it's not expensive, I'll buy something. And most places, if they carry vintage, have a Bosk, and he's my favorite character, so I'll buy Bosk. So
cool. I do that with I have like 6 Hoth Han Solos.
Nice.
And my newest one that I found just digging through a bin of at the toy mall, it was like, you pick, and I think they were, they're always like $5, $5.25, something like that. But the mold on Han's face is all messed up, so it's almost like he doesn't have a face, and it's not melted, like it's went through the paint app, but I was like, oh, come home with me.
Oh, yes.
I'll take care of you. I'm like, I appreciate you.
You're born away. Oh, yes. She will be mine.
She will be mine. Yep.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I love, and Dave Moss, he's the one he didn't introduce me. I watched his videos, and that introduced me. But by proxy, he introduced me to the concept of wabi-sabi.
Uh-huh.
And it was something I was doing already and didn't realize it had a name, because I love the figures that are just a little worse for wear, a little beat up. Because a lot of these guys like, excuse me, but the black on this stormtrooper is slightly chipped. I would like 20% back, please. And it's like, it's gonna display the same. Like, these are the same guys that are in their 40s. Like, I don't like it when my food touches. Like, they won't touch mixed vegetables because
they're all together.
Right? Can you separate these, please?
I don't know. Call me silly, but I almost feel like a lot of these toys talk to me. Kind of in a Toy Story way. Like, hey, you like toys? Can I come home with you? And we're like, hell yeah, you can.
Hell yeah.
Like my paint's a little scuffed on top. I don't friggin' care. Come on.
Yeah. Well, at least yours talk to you in that voice. Mine are like, oh, honey, I'm a little worse for wear, but I know what I'm doing. Like, oh, okay.
That makes me think of Roz from Monsters, Inc. Always watching.
Always watching, Wazowski. Yeah. That's anytime I go to the character, my name's Barbara. Because you have to emphasize each syllable. Barbara.
Honey.
She reminisces about the Roman days a lot. Oh, back in the Roman days. Like, just, I'm not sure where Barbara came from, but she's just a character that I developed sometime in high school.
But
I love it. Those were the days.
Yeah. They used to take me outside for hours and hours and put me in the mud and the sand until my arms couldn't move. Oh, those were the days.
I like that you get the drag on the cigarette.
Oh yeah. If I can make it, if I can make it come out of her stoma, that's what I would do. But I can't do that. Yeah. Oh, there we go. That's right. Michael Schaefer says, Barbara Summers from Boca Raton. Oh boy. Oh, I've Jeff Morris says this, and I feel it in my bones. He says, as a kid, I would not eat my food if it touched. Now looking at my belly, it's not a problem anymore.
Yeah, right.
Someone said this the other day, and I 100% agree. Is like the one life lesson I wish my parents hadn't imparted to me was like, eat all your food so you'll grow up big and strong. It's like, now look at me.
Yeah, I'm like, look what happened. Yeah, that was like mantra. Like, you will finish it. I mean, I can remember sitting there looking at a, pile of peas on my plate, and I'm like, I couldn't be excused until I finished the peas, and I'm like, this is gonna take all night, and they're like, they're just getting cold, and I'm like, yeah, they're just getting grosser. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, I understand the whole, they're trying to teach you not to waste things, but maybe make an exception. Like, well, the problem is that it's grown adults dishing out food for kids, so they're giving you like adult-sized portions.
Yeah.
So, but Big Badger says Scuba drives up to a group of toys on the corner. Get in, losers. We're going collecting. So, before we run out of time here, we can keep going. The 2-hour mark is usually a stopping point, but it's not a firm stopping point for me.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
So, growing up in the heartland, as you did, the outside play, you talked about, meeting up with your friends, and we were going to circle back to it, and then we never did. So, meeting up with your friends, playing outside, was there anything, like, did you have designated outside, indoor kind of toys? Like, I can take this outside to play with, but this needs to stay inside.
For me, and strangely for those other friends in the neighborhood, like, Star Wars always was inside play. Always. My X-Wing is still minty white. It never saw the light of day. Whereas Joe it could come and go. If it was a rainy day or whatever, we break that out inside, but always outside with it. But yeah, strangely, Star Wars was always an inside thing. And I think somebody asked earlier if there was a toy, like maybe you'd done a toy swap or you traded for a while.
I think it was either Michael Schaefer or Wolfie. I do remember seeing that question.
That you never got back.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually got one worse. It wasn't it wasn't a toy swap. It was my original land speeder, and the kid down the street, out of all the toys, he did not have the land speeder. So that was always hey, and bring your land speeder. And I'm like, of course, because I didn't have that many vehicles. And I don't know why I brained it. As a kid, you're probably like, ooh, lunch. And for whatever reason, I could not find that land speeder after one of the playtimes. And we warp ahead to where we're 13, 14, and we're playing war. We're all like suited up and got our fake guns running around the neighborhood. And we had a huge field behind the subdivision. And one summer they had bulldozed it. They used to have horses grazing on it. Anyway, they bulldozed it one summer and then piled up all of the trees kind of in one giant conglomerate, but they never burned them or anything. So that summer, that was our like mega epic, take the hill, kind of base.
Right.
But we were playing on that, and we ended up running through this guy's backyard, and his dad was tilling the garden. Up comes my land speeder in bits. Woof. I mean, just chunks. And I just, I think I've mentioned this in another chat, but I just froze, and he froze, the friend who knew what he did. And he looked at me and I looked at him, and I just shook my head, and he was
it's dead, Jim.
Yeah. And he just, head down. There was no, exchange of what you,
right.
He was just like, oh. And so I at least knew what happened to it. And I did take the pieces home for like a proper Star Wars burial.
You pull out one of those little plastic trumpets. It's basically a little kazoo and play taps when you bury it.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I wish I had the creative brain I do now as a kid, because then it'd be like, oh, okay, I'll just singe the edges. That'll be a crashed land speeder,
right?
But
you'd work it
as
back
a kid. Yeah, this can never be used again.
Done.
That's like I had dogs growing up. I've had dogs almost my entire life, and something about 80s and 90s plastic dogs just loved it. I don't know why. And so a lot of dogs. This is going to be loud. I'll try to be quick about it because I actually have an example right here. Yep. Sorry about that, people.
That was a drum solo.
Yeah, he was buried. Let me get my camera on here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is my brother's mechanic, which became my mechanic. So he still works. If I can get him to cooperate. Come on, do the thing. You're embarrassing me in front of all these people. There we go. So, but yeah, the dogs just love plastic. I don't know.
Footloose.
That's
loose.
Right. That's a Kevin Bacon neck. So, but dogs chewed on things all the time. Like I was really big into Jurassic Park because that was actually it was either Jurassic Park or Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't remember which one, but one of those was the first movie I ever saw in theaters.
Nice.
And so I had a lot of the Jurassic Park T-Rexes, and that the dogs loved them because they were soft and plastic.
Yeah, they kind of lend themselves to chew toy status.
Mm-hmm. So a couple, I think they're called Junior Rexes. I'm just now getting back into like vintage. I hate saying that, even though technically it's vintage now. Vintage Jurassic Park, because it meets that age requirement.
It does.
But I think they're called Junior Rexes. They're tiny, but one of mine had no tail because the dog chewed it clean off. And I just remember telling my dad, I can't play with this anymore. And he was like, use your imagination.
His name's Stubby.
Yeah, okay. Can I have a new one? No. Okay. That's what you get for leaving it on the floor. Okay. No.
But the dogs are like Hoover vacuum cleaners.
That's right. They follow me around because they know I have the snacks.
Yeah, that's right.
It was my mom used to tell me this story. Like we had a dog. His name was Skippy because he looked like Skippy peanut butter. And he would follow me around. She's like, yeah, he was your little buddy when he ended up getting hit by a car.
Oh.
So I don't have any memories of him, but he used to follow me around the house day and night because anytime I had a snack, as a kid would do, I'd set it down because like, oh, toy,
Right.
Just gobble, 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 and just eat it. So he would just follow me around, just waiting for me to drop that little Hostess cake or something.
Little Sal is my favorite human.
That's right. He feeds me when the others aren't looking.
That's right.
I would surely perish if not for him. Oh well. Oh yeah, the Wolfie says the red brown. Yeah, that was a cool. Yeah, that's the Red Rex was the big one that had a green underbelly and made noise. The ones I'm talking about are. It was one of them was the same color. Then there was like a dark blue one, but they had the battle damage on the side. You would pull out this like little flesh.
Oh, yeah,
and
little...
the ribs would be exposed.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, I didn't think for a second those would be worth anything. And looking at them now, like that Red Rex is like $200.
Cha-ching.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, good thing my nieces and nephews ended up with all of those at some point. Well, they're gone forever.
Can't you get them back? Uncle Sal needs those back.
Yeah, that's right. I don't give a damn about your memories. These are mine. Go play your fork knife or whatever it's called.
Yeah, play your Fortnite. All right, I'll make a small donation to your college fund. Give me those.
Yeah. Those kids aren't going to college. Who am I kidding? But yeah. So the outside toys, like weirdly enough, I was the opposite. My Star Wars, my GI Joes never went outside.
Really?
Yeah. It was very rare. Well, no, I can't say never, because I've talked about this before, but the core and GI Joe were synonymous to me.
Right.
I didn't know there was a difference, so I had a lot of the core, and like I'd put them in the little Jeep or whatever and drive them around in the backyard, but they like never really got out and played. In this, like we had a sandbox in the loosest of definitions, and that it was like 2x4s on the ground with sand in the middle.
Yep.
And that's where I would go. Like I would go to a specific spot outside to play with them. If I did, 9 times out of 10, that's where I went with Star Wars because that was Tatooine.
Right.
So
very cool.
I think it was a matter of losing guns all the fucking time. I think I had like 2 rifles and a shotgun between the 30 of them. So, but which speaking of, we've talked briefly about it because you're trying to man up your Defiant now that she's home, and I've been. This is for everyone's edification and information. I've been kind of nudging Scuba in the direction of buying the core figures because they have a bunch of space characters, and I'm like, you can get like 30 of them for $80 versus which is like Payload by himself is like $200 or something like that. Like just get a bunch of those guys.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Antonio Viscodes, he came down Saturday for toy hunt. He's up in Cincinnati, and I've went up there a couple times, and we poked around. And this time he came down, and he surprised me with a couple Battle Force 2000 figures that I was like, "What?" And he goes, "I thought they'd look good on your Defiant," and I'm like, "Hell yeah, they would." And then I've got George Akins sent me some Space Force,
the patron saint of Action Force,
right?
Yeah.
And he's the best. So I've got a couple guys over there on the gantry already. I was like, I know where you need to go. And I was like, you're doing joint ops on the Defiant. So they look really great over there. So we were I sent him a picture. I'm like, here's where your fellas went.
Yeah. That's I always try to think of like ways to kit bash new Joes. Like okay, so you're gonna put some astronaut-looking guys inside the Defiant, but I'm like, who's gonna man all the controls on the outside for when it takes off? And I'm like, oh, well, you could probably use like a shipwreck torso, because that's kind of like a button-down shirt, and you could probably find, I don't know, like maybe Gung Ho version. I think, or is it Gung Ho version 2, where he's got like the parade pants. It's like you could probably paint those into like business casual or something. So I'm always
khakis.
Yeah, he's Jake.
That's a good idea.
Farm. Yeah, I'm always thinking about like, oh, okay, like how am I going to display this? Like, I haven't reviewed this yet. Yeah, for those who follow my channel, I've taken a bit of a sabbatical. I just have a lot going on in my personal life right now, so I haven't really been like making content so much. But I did pick this up, which is going to be reviewed here on the channel. Right here.
Nice.
So it's a little.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a 3 3/4 Predator.
Huh.
So,
who's making that?
I don't know how it's Hiya Toys. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. It's HIYA. So either Hiya, I don't know, something like that. But yeah, so things like that exist in this world, evidently.
Yeah, and I think Barbara would say sabbatical.
Yeah. Oh, you're on a bit of a sabbatical. Yeah, I know all about sabbaticals, darling. My sabbatical's been acting up since 1978.
Just rub a little cream on it.
That's right. He has to do a little cocktail of Preparation H and Bengay and Icy Hot. So, let's see. Wolfie says, our post-NECA Predator and Alien toys. Yeah. I have one within arm's reach. They're the Leonard Predators. But I can't show it to anybody yet.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because you're going to have to wait for Iconicon, because I customized it as one of my videos.
Cool.
So, little teaser there for you. All I'm going to say is, NECA, you can eat my ass from the back, because I did way better. Like, that Predator was $10, and it looks as better paint than anything I've seen from NECA. So, just to toot my own horn a little bit. That's right.
That's all right.
So, that's I like to do those kinds of things. It was I cut my finger and burned my finger and a whole bunch of stuff. So, there is a disclaimer in that video. Don't do anything you see in that video, because it wasn't safe at all.
You will incur bodily harm.
Yeah. Or you can watch me hurt myself and be like, oh. He says, Spoonclear says, is that the name, NECA You Can? No, it's not a panel. It's a single release video. It's just a customization. So, you know what? I'll give you a little bit of a little something, little teaser for it.
Uh-oh.
So, I'll show you this one part if I can focus up the camera right. So, you'll see this. This is breaking right here. No one is, well, Tony and Michael have seen it, but no one else has. There you go.
What? Oh, yeah.
So, yes, sir. That's your little teaser there.
Very cool.
Right.
You saw it here first.
Yep. Action Figure Expert's taking off. Have a good one. He says, take it easy. Have a good one. Be safe. So he's leaving us. We will see you on the next one. So now it's time to play a little game. All right.
Uh-oh.
So pick a number between 5 and 12.
Pick a number between 5 and 12. I'll go with 8.
8. All right. Pick a time of year. Any time of year.
Fall.
Fall. All right. So it's fall. You are 8 years old. You wake up. It's a Saturday. What are you doing?
Okay. So if I'm 8, that means it is we're in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say, okay. So if it's Saturday morning, we're headed to the sandbox while it's nice out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, And we had our sandbox was 4x8 sheet of plywood covered it, to keep the cats out of it, so we didn't have to worry about that. And then it was boarded in like yours with like 2x4s. So we had the little green army men, just the generic poses from like World War II,
right?
And the tanks and stuff. And so that was heavily what we played with out in the sandbox. And then as we got older, we also would get that occasional pack of like Black Cat firecrackers, so we could do actual,
right.
But yeah, so mornings would be out there goofing, and then come lunch, you come in and get your peanut butter and jelly, glass of milk, power up. And then so if it was, let's see, 1980, that would be definitely Star Wars in the afternoon. Either solo, which would be
not the movie,
but just solo playing down in the basement. We had this green knitted, I don't know if my mom did or my grandma made it, but one of those
Afghan blankets.
Yes, Afghan. Yeah. Thank you. But it was like green, so that was Dagobah to me. And so it was 1980. So yeah, that was Dagobah. We had a brown blanket that was Tatooine. If we already covered it, but if I was group playing, then we were always at somebody else's house that had so many other play sets.
Yeah, the rich kid that's dad was a lawyer or something that had all the cool stuff.
Yeah, always. Yeah. And then I would say then come dinner. After dinner would be space Legos. Definitely space Legos, and that would be on my own. Very rarely my brother would build with me on those space sets, but yeah, that's where I would just, hours and hours and hours of building those sets. And I would, for any birthday or Christmas, if I got a space Lego set with the crater plates, I still have them. I'm looking at my Lego table over there. In fact, here, I'll just, let's just spin.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. So it's all underwater Legos, but those same crater plates are over there doing, duty as underwater mounts.
That's right. Yeah, that was I remember a time before themed sets, like, or I shouldn't say themed, before licensed sets.
Right. Yeah.
And we had the flat green panels. That you built, and my favorite one, there was one that had a kind of an L-shaped road on it. That was my favorite one.
Just
build a house on it and make a little car, and
totally
tons of fun.
Yep.
Until your dad stepped on it and got these toys off the floor.
That's exactly. Come home and who left these?
Yeah. Oh no. Not me. Well, you're the only one here.
Yeah.
The dog did it after it ate my Hostess cake.
I think my brother did it. Oh wait, no, he didn't play with the Legos. Don't.
That's right. Timothy Ward asked if he got teased by an alien crotch. Oh baby, you know it. Wolfie says, did you guys ever get super disappointed by an upcoming toy because it differed from the back of the box catalog or ad? Example, original paint job for the Red Brown JP Rex. So I'm gonna say something just to, I was not a smart kid. Okay, nothing's really changed, but I was not smart at all. So whenever I saw the back of a card back, I thought that meant all of them were out. I didn't understand how it was like, oh, these are coming, or I was just like, oh, it means I can go find this figure. And then usually by the time it showed up, I'd lost interest, not realizing that it's like, oh, these are not out yet, but here you go. But yeah, all the time. All the time. He'd be like, oh, I can't wait to find this guy. And then he'd finally show up and I'd be like, this is dumb. So the Spoon Killer says, I was not a smart kid, aka being a kid. Yeah, unfortunately, nothing has changed. So, still not very smart. But do you have any examples of that, Scuba?
I can't. Nothing that's popping into my head where that I was just super disappointed. I mean, I always wished for other play sets and such that never got made. Like I would have given my right eye for like a cool Bespin play set. I know there's the cardboard one.
Right. That doesn't count.
That doesn't. I mean, I appreciate it for what it is, but it doesn't count. Like something, like real deal. Meaty.
Right, like if they how Michael French says, if they had just taken the micro collection one and blown it up to 3 3/4.
Yes. It's right there behind me. Exactly. Just take that and make it 3 3/4 scale.
Which, for those that have a 3D printer, for the love of God, what are you waiting for?
It's true.
Just I don't know how that works. So figure it out for me, because again, nothing has changed from being a dumb kid. And just blow it up and print it. You're at that point, you're not making a playset, you're printing money.
Yeah. Why not? You know what's really cool? You mentioned the micro collection, which is one of my favorites. The Hoth playsets is one of those like friend of a friend deal. But that friend of a friend, his brother, he had an older brother who worked for Kenner in Cincinnati. His brother was in charge of the Hoth micro collection.
Oh, wow.
I already liked it before. Now I'm like freaking gaga for it. Like I have 2 of the Hoth bases just because, well, why not? Why not?
Right. Why not? At that scale, you can have 5 of them.
Yeah. And it's just badass that it's his brother's creative work. And he goes, Pete, I wish I could take you back to our kitchen table and the things that he would bring home from Kenner that he was like, they're working on and kind of spitballing. He goes, just insane. The prototypes and all that wackiness. But yeah, that just made me love Hoth even more in the micro collection here and that. Such a cool connection.
It also kind of breaks my heart that, they can make cool stuff like that. But in terms of Bespin, they're like, yeah, we could probably make one of those, but we really got to put out Imperial Dignitary.
Yeah.
Kids are clamoring for Anakin Skywalker and Imperial Dignitary.
What are they going to come with?
A crushed soul. a tear-filled reaction at Chuck E. Cheese.
A tear-filled reaction.
Yeah.
Never before have robes looked so highly sculpted.
That's right. Now, to that end, I made this post back when season 1 of The Mandalorian came out. I don't know if are you a fan? Do you watch Mandalorian or?
I enjoy Mandalorian. Yeah.
Okay.
I have my bar set low, so.
Yeah. No, same. I was like, well, it wasn't hard to impress me when the bar was on the ground, but I made this post back when that season 1 was still going on, and Werner Herzog's character, they never addressed him by name. He didn't have a title. He sure as hell didn't have a rank. And I was like, he's Imperial Dignitary. Like, he's in the robes. He's got a necklace on. They never call him Moff or General. I'm like, he's Imperial Dignitary.
Oh, I like it.
So, yep. Oh, Wolfie says, here you go. A coin that's worth nothing unless you hung on to it for 47 years.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I could, as a kid. Okay, so 77, and then we got to wait till 78 for figures, and that blows up, and you're like, yes. And then we got to wait till Empire, and and again it blows up, and you're like, even more. You're like a rabid dog. And then for me, you start getting older, and it, from 80 to 83, I mean, that felt like 20 years as a kid.
Right. It was 20 years.
Yeah.
You just lost count, that's all.
Yeah, just lost count. Just have no concept of time. And, by then, I'd been bitten by the G.I. Joe bug. And I firmly remember going into Toys R Us for Joe's and looking over and going, they come with coins now. Weird. Anyway, and then off to the Joe.
It's like Stephen Fry. Oh, no. Anyway. So that's something I've always wanted to ask somebody. So you were, alive and cognizant when Star Wars was coming out, because most of the people that I associate with were like 1, maybe 2. So when Star Wars came out, was there a buzz, or did you guys kind of know right away, or what kind of, I guess, hints were you given that, oh, there's going to be a second Star Wars movie? Or was it just kind of like, oh, there's a new one?
I think it was more like maybe like the 70s fan mags, talking about hinting that there will be another. And then as a kid, you're like, oh, I slept. I forgot about that. And then when it finally, Empire comes out, and it just freaking like blew my socks off. But I think for me, and I'm sure a lot of people my age identify with that, to be able to go to that movie, the Star Wars proper, go to that movie and then actually get toys of those characters, the ships or whatever, that was just like mind altering play. Just like boom. I mean, we went to the movies before that, but it was what Disney was releasing. I didn't run home and go, oh, I hope I get a
Cinderella,
Pete's Dragon or Apple Dumpling Gang figure or whatever it was. I don't know if I got my timelines right, but Star Wars, that's why it was so damn special, because it was like, are you freaking kidding me? I can get Luke, I can get the X-Wing. This is outstanding,
Right.
And then here comes Empire, and it was, obviously they doubled down on the toys, and you're like, more.
Yeah. Spoon Killer has a thing here. He says, just imagine Star Wars figures with G.I. Joe articulation back in the early 80s. That would have been a good fight. Still think Joe's would have won with daily cartoons. And I agree with that. And that's why G.I. Joe was my favorite growing up, was just the articulation that they had. Like, I could move them.
You could. It's so highly posable and fit in those vehicles, without the, all right, I'm in it.
Yeah, without Bela Lugosi holding onto the steering wheel, just straight out of the coffin. Yeah, that was. I grew up with the Power of the Force 2 Star Wars figures, so I had a couple Kenner ones, which I can tell that story if you're interested on how I got them. But so the Power of the Force 2 were mine, and it always bugged me that they couldn't hold a lightsaber with 2 hands. It always bugged me. So I had 2 Kenner figures that I can remember for sure. I had Claw-2 and Greedo. Okay. There was a man that lived up the road a little ways, and to my 6-7-year-old self or whatever, he seemed old, but he was probably like mid-40s, maybe 50. But yeah, it's the old man up the road. So, which now I'm just like, oh, I'm the old man up the road.
The old man. You kids wanna Werther's?
Yeah. You want some pocket candy? The lid's good for you. But his kids were older and grown and out of the house, and he would tinker on his lawnmower, work on his car, or whatever. And I would just wander up there, because we used to be able to wander alone and no one gave a shit.
Right.
And I just wander up there and talk to him. His name was Mr. Lee. And I just sit there and, sit on the lawn chair, just kick my feet and watch him work on things. And he'd, hand me that, hand me this. And so I got the hold the damn light from him. But he had this little box of toys, it was like a box or a bucket, a small container of toys. And sometimes I've, Mr. Lee, can I just clean them up when you're done, so I don't dump them out and play with them and put them back.
Oh, nice.
I had seen Star Wars, but didn't, recognize Greedo or Claw-2, And then he just started giving them to me one by one. He was like, I have to pick one, and then, nice. Okay. And then I got Greedo the second time, and first one I picked was Claw-2, then I got Greedo. And I never went back up there after that. So I don't know if he moved away or died or what. Yeah, I just stopped going one day. It's kind of like those pictures that are like, I think it's from either Sandlot or Stand By Me. It's like one day you and your friends went outside for the last time and never knew, kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Like one day I just went up there and never went back.
I never went back.
So
It happens.
yep. No, that's those are the two Kenner Star Wars figures I had growing up.
I love that Greedos. It's I still can't pass up a nice, antennas intact Greedo.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's he met up with some nail polish and a X-Acto knife at one point. So, because to me he just looked like generic sci-fi alien.
Right. Yeah, you would fit
did.
in anywhere.
Right. And I was like, oh well, he's gonna be a dead alien, and so he became a casualty at one point. So. But
that's hilarious.
I think back to all the perma casualties that I made as a kid with like red marker and nail polish and all that, and I'm like,
yep.
I wince a little bit. So
you were Sid.
Yeah, that's I don't know how familiar you are with Toy Story 2.
Yes.
So the old man that's sitting there restoring Woody and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I made a meme a long time ago, and I think I sent it to Michael. But I took the picture of the old man like meticulously restoring Woody, and I put Dave at Toy Ploy, and then the bottom picture was just Sid laughing in the backyard, and I said me.
That's hilarious.
So, like,
very,
like,
Dave just
touch up, and then Sid just like, yeah, this is a baby head with legs. All right.
Oh, look. You went through an accident.
Yep. Yeah, that's I don't know. I have one of my distinct memories is cross country.
Okay.
He was my first perma casualty, and for some reason I don't know why I hated that character.
I'm not a fan of him. I honestly, as soon as you said cross country, I was like, I really don't feel bad for him.
Yeah,
I have him.
I like version 2 where he has like the blue jeans and like the black shirt.
Yeah, that's definitely a better look.
Yeah, but a chunk of my legitimate actual G.I. Joes, not the core figures, came from a kid in middle school. I traded him. I had the Micro Machine Star Trek ships.
Oh, cool.
He was into those. I got them as a box set, like a big pack of them for Christmas, and I didn't care for them, so we swapped. I gave him that. He gave me all of his G.I. Joes, which included the Havoc, and I mean, it was mostly parts of vehicles. But
still,
yeah, Cross Country was part of those, and for some reason, I was like, this character looks stupid. I don't like him. Nail polish. Just killed him immediately.
Who was it? With the bridge layer. What was that? Toll booth.
Mm-hmm. I had the bridge layer and the bridge, and didn't realize that the two went together.
Okay.
So I just had this weird bridge and a tank that didn't have a gun, and I never put two and two together that those were part of the same thing.
My toll booth is very minty. He has his sledgehammer because he never moved from there. Like literally, I just used him to drive it, and he was not allowed in any other play scenario. Like just lay the bridge and just go over there. All right, Yeah.
You know, guys, I think that if we did this would improve our tactical position on cover. We pay you to lay a bridge. All right, lay the bridge. Go get Hardee's.
Yeah, feed it.
Or Carl's Jr., depending on where you're at.
Yeah, we'll fight Cobra. You come back later, okay?
Come back, clean up this bridge when we're done.
In fact, take cross country with you.
Yeah. Ultimate plot twist. They come back running away. Where's the bridge? Later, losers. Just drive it off. Sucks to suck. Oh boy. Let's see if I have any other burning questions. Nothing here currently. So you have children of your own, right?
Yep.
Boys, girls, mix of both?
We have one girl.
One girl, okay. So how did playtime work with that? Because everyone I've talked to so far, if they have kids, they have a son. So it's always like, yeah, we just played G.I. Joe and all that. How did playtime work with your daughter?
You know, that is an excellent question. So, probably my favorite thing was Sweet Streets with her, because are you familiar with that line at all? It's all the all the little buildings. So I mean, you had like the pet store, the beauty salon, the house,
yeah.
hotel. I mean, da 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 da. And it was almost like 2-inch kind of mass scale figures for it, and they always came with a lot of
kind of like big Polly Pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so and they were very inexpensive. So for $12-15 you could get cool a little house or whatever. And I think definitely for Christmas and a birthday cycle there, like everybody, all the family got her those sets. So like Instant Village, and we went and got at Home Depot the little rug with the roads on it. And we laid that out in her room, which is it still is quite sizable, but we set up the whole village in there. And I've always been I make noises and sound effects and things. So she always enjoyed that. I would like make the sound of doors opening, or if I'm driving a truck or whatever, I'm making the truck noises and skidding to a stop and all that. And then I'm having little, conversations with her, like, hello, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? And she would join in and do that. So yeah. Even though, didn't have a boy, playtime was a big deal. Still, we still do Lego. She's junior in college.
Oh wow!
And she just got home and said, "Hey, you know what? Let's do some Lego. Here soon. She's got internship and that kind of stuff. Life's happening. But the fact that she said, "Hey, let's work on the Lego board," and I was like, "Oh, that just." I mean, I was like,
"Yeah, I'm not crying. You're crying.
That's fine. I just I need to go to the bathroom for a minute." Just like, oh
no, someone cried in my eyeballs.
Yeah. It was like, oh, these allergies.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. And she's dating a great guy who
he likes making constructs though, so he's right out.
He loves Star Wars, so he and I bond all the time over that. So it's really cool. And he's had collections like growing up he had the Galactic Heroes Star Wars sets.
Right.
And this was a few years back. They've been dating each other for quite a while. Engagement is imminent, I'm sure.
Right.
And there was a couple Father's Day, two Father's Days ago. We were up at his house hanging out, and he and Haley were going through all his Galactic Heroes. I mean, just a giant mass of them. And I was watching something on TV, and he comes over and he gives me Darth Vader, Yoda, and Luke out of that. And he was like, "Here, happy Father's Day." And I was like, "What?" No, I was like, "No, I can't take these." He goes, "That's okay. They're doubles. I have another." And I was like, "Oh, this is fantastic." And I'm like, the fact that we can bond over toys.
You can call me Dad if you want.
Right. Yeah. I told him the other day, I'm like, "Hey, you play your cards right. All this one day will be yours."
Over my dead body. Psych.
Right. Yeah. So it's always interesting to see, even as you think, oh, they're kids, they're grown up. Oh, you don't want to do that. You don't want to play that. Hey, let's do Legos. They're like, I'll take it.
Oh, don't worry. Something to look forward to is all the grandbabies. You get to do it all over again.
Right? Yeah, for all the talk of like, oh, kids don't play with toys anymore. And I'm like, yeah, tell that to our next door neighbors who, they're 2 and 5, and we babysit for them. And we have a big time playing, and they've got tons of toys. And he loves, the little boy, he loves anything Marvel. And so, that's always a fun one to bust out. But,
Yeah, Marvel is going to be this generation's Star Wars when they get to our age. Yeah,
very much so.
Mm-hmm.
We have a big time.
Yeah, there's something about kids playing with toys. Like I don't have kids of my own because I look like me. But the nieces and nephews, like I always hear kids don't play with toys, and it's like, oh well, my nieces and nephews do. It's just not the toys that we think of.
Right.
Like they're more like my nieces they like to take Lego and then they'll use like not Lego figures, but they'll build bigger houses for their little characters.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always interesting that because they were 6 and 8 when the Lego movie came out, I think.
Okay.
So I hit right there, and they were all about Lego for like 2 years straight.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I went home on leave, and I went to go visit them, and I went down to the basement, and what's going on, girls? And they had Batman Lego on the TV. I was like, all right. Well,
this is all right.
So there's hope for you two anyway.
Like, you mind if Uncle Sal watches the rest of this with you?
That's right.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. So let's see. So we've talked about playtime. What is Let's see. I wouldn't say your fondest memory, but what are like when you think back to being a kid? Like, what would you say is your favorite memory or your favorite pastime playing with toys? Like when someone says, playtime, what's your immediate like? You think of G.I. Joe, or do you think of like Star Wars, or what's your immediate memory that conjures up?
My immediate memory is G.I. Joe and taking my tactical battle platform and a bunch of Joes up to Minnesota, not to the cabin, to my grandparents' home in Minnesota for the summer, and setting up shop in Grandma's flower bed out front. And had, because we were up there for the week or 10 days, whatever it was. And that was that entire week. I mean, we fished in the morning, but in the afternoon, it was all G.I. Joe, but in Grandma's flower beds. And up there, they got like that nice black dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was easy to, make little trenches and all kinds of encampments and stuff. I may have smashed a few flowers to her chagrin, but for the most part,
they'll grow back.
Yeah, it was all right. But yeah, that just sticks in my head is just summers up there and still being of that age. We're like, can I take this toy with us? And Dad going, all right, put it in the pack it up. Be like, can I take the tactical battle platform? It is mobile.
Right. It's in the name.
Yeah, it's in the name. And he's like, all right.
Yeah. That was when we would go on quote vacation quote, which was to go visit, grandparents that lived far away.
Yep.
I remember the first time my parents let me pack myself. And it was like the night before we were getting ready to leave. And they're like, all right, load up the car tonight so we can just leave in the morning, blah, 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 blah. And so I bring down my suitcase, and my dad picks up and he's like, notices how light it is. He opens it up, and it's just nothing but toys. He's like, where are your clothes? I was like, I'm wearing clothes.
I got clothes on. We're good.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking.
It's all about priorities.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So let's see. I'm going to do a game that I haven't prepared you for. So I'm going to list off. It's rapid fire. So I'm going to list. I'm going to name an IP, and without thinking, first character that comes to mind, I want you to name your favorite character. So
okay.
All right, you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
All right, Motu.
Man at Arms.
G.I. Joe.
Flint.
Nice. Okay. So that ends that. No. Star Wars.
Ooh. Chewbacca.
Mask.
Mayhem.
I'm afraid to go into like kind of tertiary territories. And humanoids.
Yeah, see, you go into that stuff, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's always like those are like the big ones. Transformers,
Optimus.
Yeah. So it's like you do the big ones, and you start moving to like and humanoids, Silverhawks, things like that. It's like
They're like,
I don't even remember their names.
Stariers.
Yeah. Crystar, the blue one. Like
yeah, I had the green guy with the catapult.
mhm. So the only thing I can think of, there's two more questions. The only thing I can think of, which we kind of talked about already, were play sets. And you talked about the blanket, which I'm reminded of Michael French's video on Retroblasting, the play sets you never bought. You know, like the blocks that everyone had and the blankets. And
that's a great video.
Mm-hmm. So you'd mentioned the blankets. Were there any play sets other than Micro Collection that you had? Or was it just the blanket?
No, I had the cardboard Hoth playset.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted the AT-AT, but I got the cardboard playset. The Droid Factory, which I still have my Droid Factory. I still have the box. It's I took it in and out so many times. It's pretty dog-eared, but I do have it. It's missing a few bits to it, but not R2-D2. R2-D2 is in that set.
Yeah. I had that R2-D2 and didn't realize what I had when I sold the second collection.
Right.
And I didn't realize how expensive that third leg is.
Yeah.
So,
Ding.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, that's the Droid Factory version or whatever, because this is also like pre-Force Awakens. So the prices weren't at a premium just yet. But still, I look back at all the stuff that I sold and I was like, yeah, never gonna own that again.
Yeah.
So, which is part of the reason I went to G.I. Joe instead of going vintage Star Wars, because I was like, you know what, I've already owned most of that stuff, so I'm just gonna get like the onesie twosies that I really like.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna focus on something else, and then G.I. Joe just went so I'm like, well, Visionaries is looking pretty good. Now Visionaries is getting expensive, so yeah.
I got my first Rock Lord. Nugget.
Nugget, yeah, the gold one.
Yeah, I was like, he was $5 at the toy mall, and I'm like, you know what? You're coming home with me.
Mm-hmm. I had Boulder, I think is his name. He's just like the gray one that has like a red hat when you flip it back.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I had that one as a kid, and I used him as a Boulder mostly.
Imagine that.
Yeah. But yeah, I strangely I like Rock Lords. I have two Nuggets for some reason.
Cool.
2 Nuggets. I bought Boulder, and I don't remember the other one. I think he's a villain. He's like a green, like emerald green looking rock. Looks like a bad guy.
Nice.
But I don't know their names. I'm just like, oh, that's cheap enough.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, neat.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up carded Sequest figures for like $3 each.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was early last year before the lockdown. I'm like, I like the show. I like it before they went to space, or with the whole alien thing. And I'm like, how much are these figures? And I'm like, wait a minute, that works out, because they were always in like a 5 or a 6 figure pack.
Right.
And I'm like, that's like $3 a figure. All right, I'll bite.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, I agree with that. That's like, you see a multi-pack, you're like, oh, that's expensive. Then you have to break it down to price per figure. Like, oh, that's actually not that. That's not
unreasonable. That's not bad at all. I'm like, out of all the toy lines, it's like, okay, Sequest figures did not go up in price.
Yeah. Or like you see a lot of G.I. Joes, like, oh, $300. But then it's like, oh, that's like $6-7 a figure. That's really not that bad, but that's a chunk of change.
Right.
So, let's see. Kmas. So, in terms of play sets, myself, I was a pretty dumb kid, but I did have moments of brilliance. So those like vinyl blinds that you would pull down that would never stay down and just go like whenever you try to pull them down.
Yep.
So I had one in my bedroom and it broke. Like it wouldn't, like it just stayed, like it broke off the mounts that kept it up there, and not realizing that I could just put it back up there. I was like, this is mine now. And so I rolled it out until it got stuck, and I drew things on it. Like I drew grass and a river and all that kind of stuff. And that's where they would play. And when I was done, I would just I'd hold one end down and go boink, and it would just roll back up, and I'd put it in the corner.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I had a road that connected up because I had one of those road map rugs like you were talking about.
Yep.
I had one of those, so I drew a road on part of it so I could connect it to that.
Yeah, cool.
So, which was usually that was used for blitzkrieg when I was a kid because the houses were kind of small, so it was like the jet would fly over and drop the bombs. So, because telling kids about World War II in the 6th grade leads to interesting concepts at playtime.
It does, yeah.
So, yeah. But is there? We're coming up on we're over 2.5 hours now.
Holy smokes, we are.
Yeah. Oh, time flies when you're having fun. I love doing this show. I wish I could just make it longer or not make it, but just, I don't know, have more time, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anything that you feel that we didn't cover or that you would like to talk about, or any burning memories that you just would love to regale us with?
Back on the sandbox.
Oh,
boy. It had so here in Indiana, we've got clay for our dirt. So, eventually you could dig through the sand layer down, like 6 inches, and you would hit just clay.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what tool or something we found as like a coring device, but we cored out these tubes of clay, and then we would shape them into more poo-like
as one does
structure, of course. And then because we weren't, shits enough, we would take it and put it on. There was always those couple of houses that, like, as a kid, they would never like buy the candy bar from you for school or all that. Like they would
leave their porch light off when it was Halloween.
Right? Yeah, just like go away. And so I firmly remember with me and some of my pals taking some of those clay poos and leaving them like smack dab on their doorsteps like a cat had been there and
Oh yeah.
I just thought of that.
That's little rascals.
Right, yeah. Whippersnappers.
That's my brain immediately went to, I used to do that, but you said the porch. I was like, I used to just do that to people's mailboxes, just leave them in there. But yeah, we all go, well, not we all, but I'd say a lot of us go through that phase of like, I'll show them.
Right, yeah. It was like the one way you could exact a little revenge as a kid.
They gave me a toothbrush at Halloween.
Toothbrush. I asked them if they would sponsor me for like multiple sclerosis reading books, and they slammed the door in my face. Like, here's some fake poo.
That's right. Well, I'm gonna open it up to the chat. There's about a 10 to 30 second delay between this and the chat hearing it. But if you guys have any questions before we head out, start putting them in the chat. I mean, we've received incredible interaction tonight, so you may be questioned out, but just in case there's anything else that you guys would like to know, I'll hang on a few seconds and see if they start coming in or not. But
yeah, they were
beyond.
Chat was killing it for questions.
No, yeah, I didn't even have to really go through my questions hardly at all. It was great. I do have one question.
Sure.
And probably an hour from now, I'll be like, I should have asked that. But I had the core. That was a lot of my GI Joes were the core. Probably it was like a 2-to-1 ratio.
Okay.
Was there anything like that you had growing up? Like, were GoBots and Transformers the same thing, or?
Sergeant Rock.
Oh, Sergeant Rock.
Yeah, I had Sergeant Rock figures that. Yeah, they were, in my mind, they were equivalent to Joe. And I've still got the Sergeant Rock Zodiac.
Oh, nice.
After all these years. Yeah, it doesn't have the machine gun for it, but I still have the Zodiac, and it's over with the tactical platform. Yep.
That's that jogged my memory. That's how Captain Power was to me as a kid. I didn't know what Captain Power was at all. and it was some yard sale type deal that happened inside of a school. I got the Black Fighter Jet and Captain Power the figure. I didn't even know the two went together, but I got them, and I loved that thing. 'Cause it had the ejector button.
Yeah.
Oh, heavy use out of that.
Yeah, that was so mind blowing. That it was like, wait a minute, what do you mean we can watch TV and interact with this?
Right. It was the same. It was like a duck hunt gun, only it wasn't plugged into anything.
Right.
So, Blue Pen has a good question, and I actually have an answer to it, but I'll let Pete go first. He asks, "Did you use household items to aid in your toys, like safety pins or fish hooks?"
Oh, definitely. My mom sewed a lot, so there was always scraps of fabric and stuff. So yeah, we'd always skim a couple safety pins and kind of her trash. It wasn't really trash, but it was all the offcuts and that kind of stuff out of there, definitely. And then like I said, there's taking those brown paper bags. That was always good for cutting up into a tent or a bivouac. Always. And then this was when I was like, I think I was probably 15 or 13, no, 14 or 15. 'Cause I wasn't driving, but it was friends from church, and they had two boys, and they wanted a babysitter. Well, they didn't want to have a girl babysitter because, girls were boring, that kind of, and they were like, we want to have Pete. And they were like, was that something that you would even consider doing? And they're like, we'll order the pizza. And I'm like,
you had me a pizza.
Yeah, you had me a pizza. And, we shot some basketball. Well, as it got dark, went downstairs, and they had like the G.I. Joes from like middle 90s on up. And I was like, hello. And I firmly remember like just taking, and we took they had slinkies. We made those into like barbed wire for this nice mega Joe base. So talk about taking something that was had nothing. You're like, oh, this is barbed wire.
So I had a slinky once. I straightened it.
Took the spring out of your step.
I wouldn't have even thought to do that. But it's like you make it a barbed wire all the way around.
We made this epic base. I mean, like as big as kind of the wall behind me, with all their I'm sure their folks were like, "You got out every toy." Be like, "Yeah, we did."
All right, boys. I'll see you next time. Put the shit away.
Later.
That was So I used fish hooks. Fish hooks and fishing wire for. One of my GI Joes had a hand snap off. He's actually, where is he? He's over here somewhere. It's weird that he actually survived the Great Purge, and that I would have him right here in this.
Awesome.
Like it's serendipity, really, with this question and everything else. But I put him in a flight stand. I don't know why, because I make bad life decisions. Let me do this. So he has a snapped hand right here. And I took tape and a fish hook and gave him a hook hand. Nice. I would use fishing wire, and he'd like zip line down on things.
Oh, yeah.
So, because he couldn't, I didn't know that what is air raider? Is that what these are called? The ones with the parasail things? He has a flat hand so he couldn't hold anything.
Yeah.
So he just used a hook to fight with everything else. So.
Little Tomax Saymod action with the zip line.
That's right. And also, and I thought I was the only person who did this, but I heard Tim Witten talk about it on a live stream. The old cocktail swords.
Yes.
Yeah, I use those all the time.
Oh, we would beg and plead to be able to take those home. Yep.
Yeah, they were great lightsabers because they came in blue, red, green, all that kind of stuff. So
totally.
That was my wrong button. And that was my whole thing. Like I said, I had like 2 rifles and a shotgun between all of them. So cocktail swords. Everyone had a sword.
Everybody had swords.
That's right. Well, we are at the 2 hours and 45-minute mark, and I don't see any other questions popping up. So is there anything else that you would like to talk about before we head out?
I think we did a good job covering it.
All right. Well, before we head out, today is June 7th, which means we are 1 month away from the start of Iconicon. Boy, howdy.
Crazy.
Time has flown since we first talked about it. And I tell you, we have so much stuff planned. It is ridiculous.
I can't wait.
Like myself, Tony, like a lot of us, we're taking time off of work to be able to do all this. There is so much coming your way. You don't even know. We have like 40 something live streams planned, and like a bunch of everyone's got solo release videos coming out. I have 2 already. I'm gonna try and make a 3rd, but don't hold me to that because the plan I had wasn't really working out. So at least 2. You know what? I'll go ahead and give you a spoiler on what you think on what that might be. It's not a spoiler, but a teaser.
A teaser.
Yep. Let me do this. So, just a quick little teaser for you on what you think it might be. So, it's a lot of fun stuff. So,
excellent.
Yep. So 1 month from now, Iconicon kicks off 7 to 11 July. We have guests, we have live streams, so it's a ton of channels are participating. Super fun stuff. And Timothy Ward's going to be there for all of it. He is on call 24/7. I'm just kidding. Yeah, we're just going to plug them full of monsters and Red Bulls and hope to God.
Yeah.
And yep. We're working on these fancy caffeine pills. Just they, intravenously inject it all, and
he will never need sleep again.
That's right. Freddy Krueger will never be a worry. But yeah, that's about it. I've for my channel personally, I've pretty much taken last week off, and outside of this live stream, I'm probably taking this week off too. Just a lot of stuff going on. Scuba, let the fine people at home know where they can find you.
I'm on Instagram and Twitter as Scuba Pete. If you're on YouTube, I don't have a channel, but you can find me on Chasing 80s Toys with Chris Miwa with a pretty good frequency. So we're talking about some other projects. So look forward to that.
That's right. He is, you might say, defiantly placed on Chris Miwa's channel.
Defiantly placed. Yes, that's a good word.
Yes, sir. So, well, I thank you for spending your time with me tonight, Scuba. I had an absolute blast.
Oh, this was fantastic. Thanks for having me
on. Just because you've been on once doesn't mean that you can't come on again.
All right.
That's how all my guests are. If you want to come on, absolutely. We'll shoot the shit for a couple hours and talk about toys.
Hell yeah.
It'll be a great time. So I thank everyone in the chat for showing up. We had Wolfie, we had Michael Schaefer, we had Timothy Ward, we had Snoopy Poopy, whatever, something. Snortapoopus. That's why I couldn't remember the name off the top of my head. Now I feel like an ass. Spoon Killer, Blue Pen. We had Action Figure Expert. We had Has Been Is Now. Yeah, Has Been Is Now 89.
Tim Hayes was in there for a little bit.
Tim Hayes, yep. I can only scroll up so far for it. Just right, we had Keith Knight. We had a lot of familiar faces, some new faces. Oh, White Vegeta sneaking in here at the end, saying he used a Capri Sun straw for a sword. That's smart. You gotta be careful, otherwise it gets up under there, the hangnails and all that. So, but I am salty, which is a pun, but that's okay. I thank you all for stopping by and spending some time with us. We'll see you next time.
See you, everybody.